19 for me.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special public meeting of April 15, 2024 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers on March 28, 2024, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and on the Township website. Would everyone please stand for a salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Cassion.
Yes, here.
Councilman
Yes,
Sears.
here. Yes, I'm here.
Councilman Sears. Councilman Ullman.
Here.
Councilwoman Velez.
Here.
Council President DeSena.
Here. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Peter Calamari, Administrator Mark DiCarlo, who will be right back. He is not on his seat, I know that. John Corcoran, Susan Witkowski, Township Clerk. Could I have a motion to open the public portion of the meeting up?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There is no one in the audience tonight. Is there anybody on Zoom?
No.
Give it 1 second. Motion to close the public comment period of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Discussion, shared service agreement, municipal court with Saddle River, Mayor Calamari and Mr. DiCarlo.
Excuse me, Mike, before you go through that, I see it's not on the agenda, but it looks like there's a small PSA for tonight.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't,
Yep.
It was there, but you moved it.
yes. Public service announcement for April 15, 2024. The Township's second annual Spring into Wellness 5K Run Walk and Health Fair will be taking place on Saturday, April 27th. Please visit our website for further information and sponsorship application. The Township of Washington has launched the Hometown Heroes Banner Program as a living tribute for our community to honor past and present members of the armed forces. Please visit our website for further information. Join the Township of Washington Green Team at the DPW on Saturday, April 20th from 9 a.m. to 12:30 for our free tree seedling giveaway. This event is open to Township residents, limited quantities, first come, first serve. The next special council meeting will be held on Wednesday, April 17th at 7 p.m. Also, the 70th annual opening day ceremony for Washington Township Baseball and Softball will be on Saturday, April 20th, beginning at 9 a.m. The ceremony starts at 10. Hope to see everybody there for hamburgers, hot dogs, and sausage and peppers.
Did you say 7-0?
7-0.
Wow, impressive.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Also in attendance, Mr. Ken Pollard. So the shared service agreement, municipal court with Saddle River, Mayor Calamari and Mr. DiCarlo.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Ultimately, I just want to tell you what we're ultimately looking for, and then I'll give you a quick recap and fill you in. The mayor and I are looking from the buy-in, basically authority from the council to go to a shared service agreement with Saddle River for clerk's violations right now, with the ultimate desire to do a more intense of all-inclusive shared service agreement come the new year. Now to come with the background, an employee recently resigned to go to employment to another town. This employee worked here a total of 35 hours, but it was a combination of 2 different jobs. So during the week, she worked 20 hours in the purchasing department and did 15 hours as the clerk violations at the municipal court window right outside the hall. As you know, we already have a shared service agreement with the court administrator with Saddle River. That was for the court administrator. This is for the violations clerk. So as soon as that individual resigned, we let everybody know, and I started working with Janine and the mayor, of course, with the police chief's input as well, what we're going to do in the meantime, which of course led to possible shared services for the court clerk, for the violations clerk. So right now, what's happening is our court administrator is acting as both the court administrator and the violations clerk right now till we have a plan, a further plan in place. The woman that was doing it prior, Viola, was working 1:30 to 4:30 every afternoon, and then 11 to 1:30 on Fridays. Essentially came out to about 15 hours. Our court administrator isn't able to give all of that time, but is trying to be here most of the week during those hours, so it's not interrupted for people that need business there at the window. So it was never open during the morning hours anyway. It was always in the afternoon. We're hoping to have the further plan in place by May 1st. By May 1st, we're hoping to close down this window and send everybody to the violations window in Saddle River. That will stay in place until we hopefully, again, with your approval, enter into a shared service agreement with Saddle River. So essentially, Saddle River is going to pick up our slack from May 1st until whenever we have a shared service agreement, if that's what we go with. The shared service agreement, at this point, would just look like this: paying for the services of a violations clerk. However, it would be Saddle River's employee. So Saddle River would hire the person. We would provide whatever that salary is, plus the 7.265 for FICA, which is Medicare and Social Security. Essentially what we do for the court administrator. We pay quarterly on a voucher system. We're looking to do 15 hours at $21 an hour for the violations clerk. I know we're not to that portion of the budget. I'll be able to explain more how it would impact our budget. But right now, that's what we're looking to do. All of the current appointments would remain the same. So in the beginning of the year, we appointed the judge, the prosecutor, the counsel appointed the public defender. Nothing would change with that. As we move into the new year, and again, let's say we could get this in place for June 1st. From June 1st to the end of the year, we'd have the ability to really do the research and see how much cost savings there would be, how we could make this work to be in place during the new year. And that's where we see, I wouldn't say significant cost savings, but where I can show you cost savings would be for the new year. So
excuse me, Mr. Carl. So from June 1st or May 1st, if you got a ticket, you would need to go to Upper Saddle River to pay that ticket.
Yes, or you could still do it online.
I'm saying, but
Right.
if you wanted to bring it in hand, which some people still do, I believe, right?
Yes.
You'd have to go up to Upper Saddle River.
Well, you keep Saddle River.
Saddle
It's just Saddle River.
I'm sorry, Saddle River,
yeah.
not Upper Saddle.
Right.
Yes.
Saddle River.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, what else is there to tell you? Oh, so for the appointments, again, the judge is appointed on a 3-year term, and then the prosecutor, public defender are appointed every year. We could still maintain our judge and our prosecutor. Just because we go to shared services does not mean we have to go to Saddle River's, respective individual in that spot. So we still have control over those things. So this
We
isn't
have options.
Right. This isn't a consolidation. It's just shared services. So we'd still have our own ticket books. We would still conduct our own court, but it would all be done at Saddle River.
Is there any discussion of having them take it over, like what the savings would be if they just take it all over? Or they don't have the ability to do that?
For complete consolidation?
Yes.
We haven't had that discussion because it's very much more involved. So it would be like the joint courts of Washington Township and Saddle River, which is much more intensive to accomplish than it is a shared service agreement.
Okay. So basically, all you would be doing is eliminating that at our location and just
At our
moving
location.
moving it to Saddle River.
Yes, essentially.
Yeah. But we'll explore all the options
Yeah.
and
Okay,
come to
Thank you.
council with updates.
That's fine.
I don't know what would be the appropriate language, but is it like you guys call it what is it, thumb poll or
Straw poll?
straw poll to see if, for us to start working on the shared service agreement to go in that direction?
They're handling our violations right now, correct?
No.
Or who is?
So right now, the court administrator comes here during the week when she can, during the time frame that Viola would have been here, from that 1:30 to 4:30. She still also has to come here to run court. So we run Washington Township's court twice a month from here. The only ones that are in here are her and the judge. It's still remote. We're shooting for May 1st for our window, the violations window, to be shut down and what would transpire at this window to happen at the window in Saddle River. That they're going to do for us as a courtesy until we got the shared service agreement
No court.
into effect.
So the only thing we'd be doing is moving violations clerk up there, but court would still be here.
I
Yeah,
think
for the immediate future.
Yes.
While we're exploring the other
But I'm saying,
options.
but court would still be in township.
Correct.
well, I don't want to disagree with you, but I think the plan was, there's also like Bergen County Court that oversees our vicinage that has to give us permission to do all this stuff. So not until a shared service agreement is in effect can we like totally move over files and stuff. So not that the mayor was wrong, but yes, so on May 1st, the violations would be there. I'm expecting court to still be held here, but once we have the shared service agreement,
Then we'd go there.
then everything would be operating there. Yeah.
Okay.
I just didn't want anybody to think
No, I
something.
think
No,
we're
that's
saying the
fine.
same thing with
Yes,
different words.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then you want a straw poll, correct?
Yeah,
Just to
give me a
make sure there's
direction.
no objection to the concept.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Anything to save money and shared service is always
Mm-hmm.
hopefully a cost savings measure. I'm okay with it.
Do we know if it's going to save money?
Well, that's what I'm going to make sure. As long as it's a cost saving measure and not going to cost us more, that's one thing.
Definitely not going to cost us more. I just can't say it's going to be like 3,000 right now, 4,000 right now. When we get into the budget, yes, it is going to save us a little bit, like, on office supplies or, furniture.
Yeah, I was going
you
to
know.
say there could be indirect savings like that
indirect
also
savings.
in addition to direct savings.
But it's not going to cost us more money. And you're not agreeing to it tonight. You're just giving me the direction. It's either an absolute no, and then I won't even, try to move forward with I don't want to call it negotiations. There's really not much to negotiate, but work on the shared service agreement to ultimately bring to you with the exact costs, things like that. But it's really, I don't want to oversimplify it. It's really just paying for that person's salary right now. And we would do it just like we do the court administrator. We would pay it on a quarterly basis. So I would ask you to fund that line when we get to it with the amount that I believe we're going to need.
Is so today, temporarily, the administrator is acting as the clerk,
Yes.
just for a very short window. When the shared service is put in place, if it is, would they be two distinct people, or is it still?
No, it'd be two distinct people.
Two
It'd be, so they would hire, so it would be Saddle River's employee, part-time, and they would hire a clerk.
So do they not have a clerk?
They do not have a clerk, no.
Okay, so the one person handles both,
Yes,
but if the position had to accommodate two towns, they feel it would
yeah, they would,
require two individuals.
yes.
Okay.
I'm okay with Mr. DeCarlo looking into
Yeah.
it. Anybody else have any?
Yes.
Mr. Cassia?
I said
Mr. Ullman?
Okay, thank you. We'll work on that. Thank you.
We will continue with the 2024 budget discussion. We're going to go through the pages I'm going to handle the closed from last meeting. So we have floating staff is our first one on page one, right? Yes. Floating staff is on page one.
Can I, you're gonna kill me.
Hopefully the first time.
Yeah. You're gonna really love me with that. I was gonna ask you to, at a certain point, if we could readdress this line only because of the moving around with the court violations. If you wanted to either give me the time now or skip it so we don't hold up the rest of it. Whichever you decide, but I probably would need a good 15 minutes to, he's really good. I'm going to confuse you guys a little bit, but try to tell you how we're going to fix it. So there's not a problem right now, but I just wanted to see if you wanted me to go into the big, long story now, or if you want to skip it so not to hinder your progress with the other lines and come back to it.
Well, if we got to come back, may as well get it over now, Mr. DeCarlo,
Okay.
please.
All right, perfect. So the floating staff, even though I know from the other day, we went from 38,700 to 37,500.
Correct.
So this is what I wanted to bring to your attention. So we're going to correct it. Even, it wasn't that it was being done incorrect, but again, there's better ways to doing it, and I see that this time. So the floating staff position included Viola, which was, she left. That she was the violations clerk, and she was also the purchasing part-time, right? So she was making last year $37,500. You guys had tentatively approved to go up to $40,000, I believe, when we were in closed session for that position. A portion of the salary was coming from floating staff. That's where I came up with that odd number. It's like 16,528.
16,528 came.
Right, that would be this year's ask. So last year was, probably $2,500 less. If you go all the way to the back to municipal court, and I appreciate you being patient because you're going to go to page 63.
Okay. Court administrator, right?
Right, so look at last year's approved rate. I don't have an answer why it's only 16,646, but we asked for $23,011. So if you add that 23,011,
Wait a minute. I have municipal court administrator as 45,000.
I'm sorry, violations clerk, I apologize.
Oh, violations clerk. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I see that. It was 23,472.
Right, so if you take $23,011 and you add to what I had requested in my note last year in floating staff, that together would equal $37,500. Where Mr. Allman's going to go get upset with me is we didn't need all the 23,000 in violations clerk line. The council knew last year how we were doing the math, quote unquote, but between those two lines, it equaled $37,500 because it was one employee. That's how we did it. So I asked them to just keep the funding at $23,000, and it was less money I'd have to ask in floating staff. When we were in closed last week, we all agreed that it would be easier for everyone if I split the lines for floating staff. So my intention is when we're done to have floating staff, tax office, floating staff, purchasing department, and then the municipal alliance coordinator, right? So right now, those three positions are in floating staff. So if you take Viola's salary for last year of $37,500, total of 1,820 hours, she essentially was making $20.60 an hour. So we're now going to have to advertise for a purchasing assistant for 20 hours a week. And at a minimum, we want to do $20.60. And again, if I remember correctly, you guys had approved for her to go up to 40,000, which would have essentially been like $21.97. Now I understand this would be a new employee. So if we didn't use the
But we didn't talk about a purchasing assistant last meeting. Now you're talking about a whole nother.
No, you did. You did.
No, we talked about a temporary staff, which was, we had 15,808 for Viola, right?
Mary Alice.
16,500.
I'm sorry. Mary Alice was 15,808, correct?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
5,000 for
Did they ask for-
municipal
Municipal
alliance.
coordinator, yep.
And then 16,528 was the,
That was Viola. That's the
Viola.
purchasing department assistant.
hold on, Ms. Ron, yes.
Did Mary Alice and Viola, I think she's given up her right, but did Mary Alice ask for a closed session? I don't know if,
She did, but again, based on what Mr. Pollard said, unless we plan on talking about them in close, we don't have to re-rice notice. But I can talk about the position rather than the person.
Okay, let's not talk
Right, you're not
about
talking
that.
about performance.
Right,
just want to make sure.
right.
That'd
Yeah.
be safe.
As of this year, Mr. Altman, Mr. Pollard has changed his mind and we don't have to write them. So we're in 2024 Pollard mode versus previous Pollard mode.
I was waiting for.
Mr. Pollard is shaking his head because you've always told us we've had to rice everybody.
Let me just say one thing. I don't like the term change anybody's mind.
Well, you did because.
Okay, the law changed and what our procedures were changed, and therefore it is changed. That's what changed. Not that I just changed my mind because I have on a blue shirt.
But Oh, you did?
It changed, the law changed and the situation changed.
Okay. As long as we have you on the record that that's your opinion, that's all.
That's fine. I have no problem with that.
Okay. So the 16528 was associated with,
Violations, right?
no, well, no, it was associated with purchasing, who happened to be the same person as violations.
Okay. And the
Okay.
15808 is violations.
No,
No.
15. I wish Abbott and Costello were here.
Yeah.
I told you I was going to confuse you.
Yeah.
I will take the blame. I will take the blame. 15808 is tax assistant. Tax assistant. So in part of what I explained in violations, in correcting the organization of this, we would like to at least try to bring in a purchasing assistant at $21 an hour to attract a qualified candidate that is willing to work only 20 hours. It will not be a full-time position, therefore they will not be able to have the benefit of health benefits. So 20 hours at $21 an hour comes to $20,000 and $160. Like if Mr. Councilman Holman can just help follow along with that, $20,000 $160. So now we'll talk about the tax assistant. In close, you were gracious enough to go from $18 to $19 an hour for that person. Just hear me out on this. I just want you to hear it from this, an understanding standpoint, and then use it to make your decision. The person, and no one has complained, this is just something I identified this afternoon, and then brought it to the mayor's attention. So if we brought in a new purchasing assistant, they would walk in at $21 an hour, and the person that's in the tax office that's been here 11 years would be making $19 an hour, even though it's a gracious raise from 18 to 19. So what I would ask is not to create equity. I wouldn't ask you to reduce the 21 down to 19 for a purchasing assistant because we want to attract someone. But I would ask you if you would generously consider bringing the tax assistant from 19 to 21. It will be.
Why don't we bring them both to 20 and then they'll be even at the same number?
Before I agree, can I finish my, because I might have something to tell. Going from 19 to 21 will only be, and again, I know every dollar counts, I do, and I don't say that sarcastically, but it would only be an addition of about $1,600 to bring that person, because they work about 832 hours a year. So the extra $2 would bring them up to like $1,600. That way we would have equity. I think it's a fair position. The DPW seasonals can go up to 22 hours, and I fully respect what they do because they're on the back of a truck often in elements that are rain, cold, hot. These individuals are directly working with money. And, I feel that deserves some consideration in that part. So if that's the case, I would ask for, just hear me out, I would ask for $20,160 for purchasing, $16,128 for tax, $5,000 for the municipal alliance coordinator, the 2 grant coordinators. That would bring it to a total for that line, $41,288. And then I would just ask you for $420 on top of that. That would cover 20 extra hours for that tax assistant that we talked about last meeting, that stays a couple extra hours. So generally works 16 hours, but during the tax grace period, we'll work a couple more hours. That extra $420 would give me 20 hours at $21 an hour, bringing that total line to $41,708. But wait, there's a drop the last S for savings on this one, because the municipal court clerk right now is $23,472, and I can bring that down to $15,500. So overall, with all those considerations you made between the two lines, there'd be an overall savings of about $3,500. I can answer any questions. I appreciate you listening to me.
What did you say is the drop for the violations clerk?
So violations clerk, because I have to account for the salary that was already paid out, right? And with estimating 15 hours a week at $21 an hour in Saddle River, on top of what we've already paid out this year, we could drop that line to 15,500. That would get us through what we've already paid, the little bit of break, and then.
So you want to drop that number from 23,472 to 15,500?
15.5, yes. And then increasing the floating line from 37.5 to 41,708 between the two lines would still give us a savings of about somewhere, I forget the number, somewhere between like $3,300 and $3,500 overall.
So can, the Municipal Alliance is going to continue to receive
2,500.
But one of those disappears next year.
Yes, so next year it would only be 2,500 unless, of course, we get another grant or something. I'd come back to you for 2,500.
but for this year, it's 5K.
It's 5, correct.
The tax at the moment is 15,808.
1508.
You're
yeah.
asking us to consider something, but at the moment, it's 15,808.
Right. And I want to go to 16,128 plus the 420 for extra hours. So it would be 16,128 plus 420.
16,548.
16,548, yes.
And what is the proposed purchasing?
20,160. Because again, I have to account for what was already paid. There's a little bit of a break. You know, hopefully we're going to get somebody soon, but that'll allow me to pay them 21 hours, $21, offer $21 an hour.
Why don't we just offer both of them $20 an hour and we don't have an addition in cost?
So my view, and again, comes from a point of view in the private sector, is you're always falling behind. You know, at the end of my career at the bank, I was hiring, after 20 years, I was hiring first-year people that were making as much
Absolutely.
base salary as I was. Not total comp, but base salary.
Yeah, because times change.
Times change. You know, there's a decision to be made as an employee. You know, are you comfortable with that? There's a balance. You know, there's a short commute, there's preferable hours, there's any number of things that keep you in one job versus another. To me, you know, if we're going to start talking about equity, and not just these two positions, but then you have to apply equity much broader. And, you know, if we want to keep, if the feeling is that we should be hiring at the top, and we should be, or near the top, or market, and we should be paying near market or at the top, then, you know, we can do away with this schedule, and, you know, we're going to be looking at large increases, you know, every year. And I appreciate it. I appreciate the background and the explanation for the particular line, but I think it opens up, you know, other discussions and pressures on our salaries to go up. And I don't know if they all need to go up.
Do you mind if I respond to that? I agree with your reasoning for equity, but in this circumstance, I'm only looking at the equity between those two positions because they're very similar. You know,
But you have the same disparity in other positions. Like people were just hired last year, and you have people that have been working here 10, 12 years, and the new person's making almost $18,000 more, which is what the fair market value is in 2024. But the person that was hired 14 years ago, whatever it was, is $14,000 below that person, and we'll never catch that person unless we go to a broad statement like Mike just made, that then we have to review everybody, and then we're not going to be able to afford our employees, because if we bring everybody up to close proximity, it's going to be an issue.
And I agree, but again, I'm using these two positions because they were in the same line. They're very similar. They're part-time employees, they're not full-time employees. So we're talking about $1,600 as opposed to whether it's $10,000 or $12,000. Because, Mr. Ullman explained that it happens. It's not a Washington Township exclusive problem.
But you also have the other adage where a lot of the people that these assistants are working for have been granted larger raises to bring them to market value and should need less assistance because now you're higher up in the food chain, so you're expected to do more.
Yeah.
And that's the other issue you have. So,
We don't have ranges. The only thing I think that has a range is the seasonal DPW employee.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the past few years, the previous councils have tried to bring everybody up into fair market value. So some people got a big increase in salary based on that.
Yeah.
So,
But here's the other thing, that the tax office, looking at it historically, this tax office assistant was receiving 2% increases in line with the full-time department people. So 2% on $17, you're talking 20 cents.
Correct.
So that's why I think we would be correcting that by if you guys made this move. And also, again, it's going to come out sarcastic, but is the answer for us not to correct anything because we'd have to do a very big correction? And that's just rhetorical because I don't want it to sound sarcastic, but I think we have done a good job, and you have done a good job in bringing people up to, market value. Would everybody love to get more money? Of course, but I'd love to see, and hopefully all of you would love to see people do that. But again, these part-time jobs are not easy to attract people because there's no benefits to them. They generally have to come in still 5 days a week, work a few hours. Like I said, nobody's complaining. The mayor and I thought it was right to bring it to your attention, give you the facts, and we're hoping that you go for the $21 an hour for both. And that's the best we can do is ask you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. DeCarlo.
So right now, as it stands,
The line is 37,500.
yeah, I did the math
Yeah.
both ways. So it's a cost savings. If we restructure it, as Mr. DeCarlo was saying, it's a $3,764 savings total. Does
Correct.
that sound
Yeah.
about
That is
right?
correct.
Even
That is
better,
correct.
Okay,
Yeah, because you're going to, on line 63, you're going to deduct
correct. The 15,
the
7,972.
7,900 and,
$7,972.
Correct.
correct.
So it's a
So when you add
total
the differential from the 7,972, you come up with a net savings of 3,674.
60,
Is that what it was, Mrs. Fuller?
3764.
I'm sorry, I got it back. Yeah, 3,764.
Yes. And that would
And it just,
equalize both positions of purchasing and tax
And it-
assistant.
and there's another indirect cost savings because we're reducing from a full-time employee to a part-time employee. We're saving the health benefits cost, and that was a family plan. So again, it's an indirect savings, but again, we're not going to be able to do it. Listen, 37.5 is a salary. It's not the best salary, but we were able to attract attention to it because it did come with benefits where this one doesn't. So there's a little bit of trade-off. Again, that's my, those are my supporting facts. I appreciate you listening. Hopefully you all agree for the 21 and 21. And thank you. I'll be quiet.
Do you have a rough estimate of what that savings is on the insurance, on the health benefits?
It's significant. I mean, I'd have to look through stuff. I don't like throwing out numbers, but it's a lot of money.
5 figures, right?
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it's more than 10
Right,
grand.
yeah.
Because a
So
family.
I'll make a motion to fund this line item for 41,500. I want to just make it even numbers. I'm not giving it $288, Mr. DeCarlo, so you can figure that out now. But I'll make a motion for this, for 40120100160 for 41,500, as long as we reduce line 40143 490190 to 15,500. Do I have a second?
So, I'm sorry.
I want to make this one 41,500.
So you're just cutting into the extra hours that he's requesting, correct?
Yeah, we'll just have
Okay.
to make it work. I mean,
Okay.
but for the salary ordinance, is everyone okay with me referencing $21 an hour for both those positions?
Yeah, because you'll have enough with the
Yeah.
41.5. But as long as we take this 7,972
Yeah.
away
You can do
from
it-
page
you can do it
63.
next. You
That's
can
what
do
I'm
that
saying.
next.
That's what we're going to do next. So I'll make a motion for 41,500, requested 41,500, recommended for 40120, 100,160. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you
Roll
very
call.
much. Very much appreciated.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
and Council President DeSenum.
Yes.
Thank you.
On page 63, 401-43-490-190, the new request is 15,500. The new recommend is 15,500 for a reduction of 7972. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSenum.
Yes.
Mike, can you give me the total on that line?
Line on page 63 will now be 15,500 for a net reduction of $7,972. All right, second one was page 6, Township Clerk. It is 40120120110, 98,838 requested, 98,838 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
We're page 6.
Page 6.
Clerk, okay, yes. So we're just,
We gotta go through the list of all the closed stuff we did. So we
oh, I
got,
see what we're doing.
we did the straw poll that was closed, but now we gotta make it
Okay,
official.
I
So we're gonna go
understand.
through that list first.
Yep.
So we had a motion for.
Yep, and a second, I need a second.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSenum.
Yes. The next one is Chief Financial Officer, page 9. It is 40120130130, 75,406 requested, 75,406 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? I'll make this. You second it, Mike?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSenum.
Yes. Finance Director was reduced to 40120130140. It's right below it. There's a typo on the page number. It's also page 9. My bad. It's reduced to 900. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it. Roll call.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSenum.
Yes. The next one is on page 13, the tax assessor. It is 40120150110, $26,010 requested, $26,010 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSenum.
Yes. The next one is on page 21 for the zoning officer. Zoning officer, 4021-185-120, 26,925, 96 requested, 26,926 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Next one is page 23, UCC head TA. On page 23, the preceding, the next page. Head TA is 40122-195, 180, 53093 requested, 53093 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
That's combining.
That's combining two lines. It's combining the
Yeah,
business
well.
zoning liaison, planning
Okay.
liaison, and eliminating the following line. So the following line will become zero once
Okay.
we get to it.
Yes, yep.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Councilman Sears' motion, I'm sorry, second was,
Daisy.
Thank
Daisy
you.
was.
sorry.
So give me the total on that one, Mike.
$53,093. And then we're going to reduce the following line by 8,160.
Mhm.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Planning and zoning liaison, 40122-195-185, 8160 requested, 8160 recommended. We are making it zero. Do I have a motion for zero for both?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. The last one is on page 46, the health registrar. It is 401-27330-130, $2,550 requested, $2,550 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Okay, now we go to the next list for employees, right?
No, no, why don't you go back to the beginning of, well, not the beginning, but where you need to pick up and go forward again? Because this is going to be a combination of,
Open and close. Well, I'm gonna hit the open, right? So,
well, do you want to do all salaries now?
yeah, just
All right.
keep going with salaries, right? We'll keep going with the salaries on the open list. So the first one is the police records clerk, which is on, I gotta find the page. I'm sorry, there's no page
Sorry, I don't
numbers.
have pages on this.
Oh, it's under police.
Police records clerk.
It's gonna be somewhere.
Bottom of 26, it looks like.
We should get a.
25?
Bottom of 26.
26, yep, 26. 25240-180.
Police records clerk, right at the bottom of the page, 401-25240-180, 50,225 requested, 50,225 recommended. That's a 2% raise, Mr. DeCarlo?
Yes, sir.
This employee works 35 hours in the office every week?
Yes, sir. And just, do we have to vote to talk on it or we can start talking?
Oh, motion, I'm sorry, motion? Do I have a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Second? Yes.
Um,
So I'm sorry. The question
thank
was,
you.
is this person in the office 35 hours a week?
Yes. And,
They don't work remotely, correct?
They do not work remotely, and thank you to Ms. Witkowski for putting this together last minute. But on the dais, you should have had an email from Chief Calamari, who was unable to attend tonight. There is a paragraph at the bottom of page 1 regarding the performance of this individual. And then accompany this is the job classifications for communications officer when we get to that. But I believe in my job classifications, if you need it, there is a tab for records police assistant, administrative assistant. If you want to look at the job job classifications of this individual.
So the record clerk falls under a different job classification, so we should update that in the,
That's what he named it. Let me see what I have it named in my job classification. I probably have it as police administrative assistant, but let me just find it. Tries to whoever gets an OP. Is that, yeah,
It's in alphabetical order.
yeah. Did you find it?
Yes.
Police administrative assistant. It's in the P's. It's after plumbing subcode official, if you come to that.
So what, is this the same person?
Yes, so the chief of police in his email, wait, this is open, right, obviously?
Yes.
So this is referring to Leanne O'Connor.
yes.
In Chief Calamari's email, he called her the records clerk. She is technically the police administrative assistant. That's what the job
So
classification.
could we have Mr. Corcoran or whoever would change these classifications, reclassify this as? it says
Oh, in the
records
budget
clerk.
you're talking about.
Yeah, in the
I
budget line.
apologize.
Yeah, no, I'm saying in the line, it shouldn't say records clerk then. It should
Absolutely.
say
Let me
police
see.
administrative assistant.
Absolutely, yes, and I can do that even. I'm sorry, I wasn't catching what you were putting down.
Any discussion, ladies and gentlemen?
No, I'll motion for the 50.
We did, all right, yeah, we motioned
did?
and we're doing discussion right now. so.
Okay.
We have a motion in a second, right?
Yep.
Any further discussion, Mr. Ullman? I see you were just about to say something.
I was just reviewing the role, the job description, excuse me.
That's fine.
No comment, no other comments.
Roll call?
Councilman Cassio,
Abstain.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
26. Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next one on the list is
Dan?
Dan Scuderi, Recreation Superintendent, Director of DPW. I don't know where that would be.
Recreation.
His first one is going to be under recreation salary. That's pretty far down too. It's after DPW.
It's after
Start on page 49.
Well,
Let's
the director's on
48.
39 if you want.
39 is.
Oh, you
director.
want to go to the director position first? Oh, okay.
Okay, 39 is Director,
Correct.
37, 38, 39.
262909194.
Two from the bottom.
401-26290-194, 1,800 requested, 1,800 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, does this fall under the same thing that we had with the other position, where we took it down to 9 because they're an employee and a director of the same?
You need to talk up, please.
No.
Sorry.
Does this fall under the same scrutiny as the other line where we had someone who was employed by the town and also a director, and we reduced that to 900?
But it's a different department. It's recreation and not DPW, so.
To me, that doesn't matter.
To me, the reason I made that recommendation was it's essentially the same job, or he's essentially managing or directing himself, or the role is directing itself. I don't
feel the same here.
Recreation and DPW, I don't feel will cross anywhere. So that's my explanation as to why I wouldn't ask.
Understood. But my feeling is they're employed by the town, whether it's the same department or not, it's still the same issue. Just like I have the issue with the attorney, where he's director and also employed by the town, and he doesn't draw that
Well,
salary.
we can do
I'm
that
just-
one when we get to it.
Well, I'm just saying, to me, it's the same
Okay.
thing. Okay?
So the motion right now is for 1,800 and 1,800. And the discussion is, Mr. Cassio would like to reduce it. Anybody else want to reduce it? Right, Mr. Cassio, you'd like to reduce it?
I would like to reduce it to the same as the other one, to 9, I think the other was 900.
That's correct.
So you already have a motion on the floor for
1,800.
1,800. So.
Any other discussion?
I know Steve is making a point for consistency, and I appreciate that, but only because I think Dan and the DPW is a little more public. My experience with him as director has always been positive, so.
Same here.
Right.
I would think if he was director of recreation, then I would tend to agree with you, Mr. Cassio.
That's okay.
But since it's director of DPW, not recreation, then I would vote 900 all the way through if it was the same position.
That's okay.
And I think some of them,
I can understand your position.
okay. Roll call?
Councilman Cassio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Hold on one second.
His next
Where was this?
line would be
Where was
page
this?
49,
The one we just-
48.
This was on page 39. It was 2629094.
DPW,
That was DPW Director.
yep, got it, okay. And now the next one is for recreation superintendent, which is
Yes,
on
sir.
page what?
48.
48, Mr. DeCon? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
At the bottom. Oh, no, sorry, Nope, middle.
Page 48 in the middle, recreation superintendent, 401-28370110, increase in work hours from 15 hours to 20 hours. The recommend is 26,923. The request is 26,923. The recommend is 26,923. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just to, if you want me to just fill you in where I came up with that number. So, it's the note there, it increased from 15 hours to 20 hours. And essentially, this is to pay him for the time he's here. He is consistently, without a doubt, here more than 15 hours a week. He's a very thorough individual. He's very well thought out before he makes his decisions. And as council can probably attest, he's doing his job outside of this office. He's a community member. He's well involved with sports organizations, and whether it's directly or indirectly, he's almost like I'm trying to think of an equivalent name, but he is out in the public all the time, representing the township, representing what he does as director of recreation. And that's why we'd like to bring him up. He was one of the ones we identified, one of the 3 people we identified as outside that 2% increase. And the number specifically coincides with what the zoning officer is making and what the code enforcement officer is making. That's where that specific number of 26,923 came from. So to summarize, I'm asking us to pay him for the hours he's actually here rather than what it said on the salary chart. Well worth it. We all know. I don't have to go on and on and on. So thank you for hearing me out.
Any further discussion, ladies and gentlemen?
I would say he works definitely more than 20 hours.
Okay.
Based
I won't
on,
disagree.
Just the increase in our summer recreation, and it's unbelievable the amount of calls he gets on a daily basis
Yeah.
now that this is kicking in.
600
Yeah.
kids.
And then
Yeah.
he also does, besides that, it's the reimbursement of certain people. They don't want to go to the zoo. They want to reimburse that money. He spends a lot of time working on that also. So he is out there. I mean, personally,
I think you may have put out a trip that doesn't exist, Mr. Sears. Be careful, because there is no zoo trip. I didn't pay for that one. And if there is, I'm in deep trouble. So
But he missed it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm in deep trouble for this.
Did they go to Turtleback
Not
this year?
I don't think so,
Maybe
but
summer camp, but.
Yeah, thought so.
any further discussion?
Just, so I don't disagree with many of the comments. I guess my question is we, I believe, are compensating I don't know if it's on the list, the summer rec director.
Yes.
You know, I guess I view that compensation, they should be absorbing a lot of this that we say is going to Mr. Scuderi. So, you know, acknowledging he's working, but at the same time, is the person in the summer rec not that they're not working, but are they not absorbing the responsibilities of that program?
They are, and again, I don't want this to sound sarcastic, but part of my support for him to get the raise didn't have anything to do with the summer camp. So bringing that up, actually, I'm appreciative. It helps me. But Dan oversees that. So even though there's the summer camp director, you know, Dan's the one that's on him. Get me the agenda, get me the budget so it can be reviewed. So he has supervision over it, maybe not day-to-day supervision as the summer camp director and the assistant director of summer camp. But Dan definitely has supervisory and leadership over that program. If that helps, hopefully that answered your question.
The other question I have, and it goes back to a discussion we had at the last meeting, is if individuals are working this much time, this much overtime, where is that overtime?
So remember, part-time, well, none of the non-union workers are entitled to overtime, but especially not a part-time worker.
So, and Mr. DeCarlo, I'm going to make a general statement because I don't know the specifics, but if you are working, you get paid. That's the law. So if 15 hours wasn't enough, you know, there needs to be a study, and I see you're bumping him up to 20. But even outside of this, there's no, in my opinion, there's no such thing as you don't get paid for overtime. If the role requires you to work in excess of the hours scheduled, and there's an acknowledgement that you're working, you need to be paid. And it's not, you know, this is not a personal opinion. That's the law, I believe. I mean,
I don't disagree.
but the policy that you just stated is in direct contravention of that.
Well, I don't think so, because you asked me about overtime. So he's not working overtime. Overtime is over 40 hours a week.
But does our employee handbook address overtime for
Yes, it does.
It does.
It does.
For non-what?
Non-union employees, because Mr. DeCarlo made a statement that only union employees are eligible for overtime, correct? Is that?
Yeah, essentially the DPW and the police department. Well, you know what, I guess the dispatchers, the communication officers, I believe most likely would get overtime, but again, they're working more than 40 hours a week. They're on the Pittman schedule, which brings up a whole another topic, but they're technically not covered by a collective bargaining agreement. So my statement of saying all non-union employees would be incorrect.
When did the dispatchers go to Pittman? I know the police department did, because But I don't remember it ever approving.
I don't know when they went to Pittman time. I don't think it was during my time, but I'm pretty
Yeah,
confident.
predates you, but I don't remember exactly.
I don't remember them going, no.
Maybe I'm incorrect then, but I believe they do. I believe they work 12-hour shifts.
Correct.
And they're assigned to a squad.
Right.
But
Okay.
So
Any further discussion on recreation superintendent? Ms.
I'll
Wong?
just, I just want to say for Dan, specifically for basketball, for example, and this is more to you, Mr. Ullman, there are times where there's a scheduling or a ref issue or anything. So whether it's a Friday night or Sunday morning, like he's the one that gets the call. So while it shows 20 hours or 15 hours to 20 hours, there's a lot more hours. And I agree, if they're scheduled to work 20, they should work 20. But the truth of the matter is, if you want to get the job done, you're going to have to show up and take those calls.
I do not.
And he does.
I understand what you mean, Mr. Ullman. Essentially, what you're saying is Dan's not ordered to stay 20 hours. His work week and his compensation was for 15 hours, but I consistently see him put in more for that. So in the due diligence of noticing that, that's why the mayor and I want to formally increase his work hours to 20 hours and then therefore compensate him. But I totally understand what you were saying.
So
You're not disagreeing with the salary. I think it's kind of like a side conversation. So
But I think a key point here also is to understand that Dan starts, say at 10, but sometimes he goes to 6. And he covers the points where the people actually come up to see him. So he's there after hours, after 6 sometimes. So
I don't think anybody's disagreeing with his time here, but I think there is a legal thing where you may have to tell him,
Well,
you can't be here that many hours because.
But can we stop somebody?
I don't know,
from
that's,
going
yes.
over?
I think that's
Yes.
a legal question. I don't know what the answer to that is.
you need to tell the employee to leave. And if the job is not being done and is not being completed, then the administration and the council have to figure out either to approve
increase
more
it.
money. But any employee who is working more than their scheduled time, that's a non-exempt employee, is eligible to be paid. That- 'cause
I don't disagree.
We're not running they're not running a charity, we would be,
Sometimes it feels that way. when
we
we're
would be
working.
fired. I would be fired if someone was working for me and they were putting in 40 hours and they're scheduled for 35, and I said, we can't pay you. I would be fired, and my company would be open to extensive lawsuits. And, don't want to belabor it, but I would ask Mr. Poller if he could review this.
Okay, it's the Fair Labor Standards Act. Yes, okay.
So, okay. But then, yeah. But then
But I
what?
understand
But
that
there's-
as a
but
side
there's-
The
conversation.
problem is that
And
Dan is
said
at the
it's-
mercy of the public.
What's that?
I said Dan is at the mercy of the public.
No, we're not disagreeing with that.
No, and I don't disagree with Mr.
So like,
Allman at all.
what Mr. Allman is saying is correct, but it
Oh,
also
I
goes,
agree with him
if you
100%.
can't, this is a sticky subject because I've been involved in where an employee is not getting it done in 40 hours in order to create overtime and is not eligible for it because they weren't doing their duties and what they should be done in 35 or 40 hours. So that's the other avenue, but that's got to be,
But then that's managed through a person.
correct. That's a personnel action form. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. No, absolutely. But I don't want anybody to think like, hey, just don't do your job and stay 5 hours extra. You're going to get 5 hours extra because that's not how this works.
Here's the problem with this particular position. It's akin to an athletic director at a high school.
Correct.
Okay, same thing. They have their stuff
Weekends.
on the weekends and at night. And unfortunately, we don't have people in the office at that time. So it's one of those positions where, you know what you're taking on. It's going to require extra
More
hours.
time, yeah.
They should get paid, but an athletic director at
Yeah.
a school does not get
Right.
but
paid. as
they're
well.
exempt.
Okay, I understand.
My guess is that they're an exempt employee.
Okay, well, I'm just kind of give an analogy. Like, okay, so
I'm not
that's,
challenging you, Mr. Owen. What do you mean? How do you come to that conclusion?
That's really-
I'm serious question. Like, if they're an example.
I
It's
would say-
usually salary versus hourly, right?
It's salary versus hourly, but it also is the level of responsibility. Are they self-directing? Are they managing people? Are they, there's
Are they professionals?
a long
Oh,
checklist to determine that. Like, what's brokerage got in a lot of trouble because the stockbrokers sued and said they weren't exempt. They should be paid for overtime when they were working 80 hours a week. And the courts considered it. So to me, we ask a lot of our employees, and this is something that I really feel strongly about, as you could tell.
Yeah. Well, all I'd like to say is, obviously, you see, we're looking to correct it. We'll look at the other positions to see if they're pretty much in line, because we don't want to do anything against the law. And our attorney will look into the fair labor, whatever it was. Fair, yeah.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Casio,
yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Director of Law, Attorney, I don't know what page that's on.
Oh, it's gonna be above that.
Yeah.
Well above it. And right before engineering.
Page 15,
Yeah.
I think.
Yes. Yep.
Page 15,
Yes.
Director of Department of Law. The first line is Director of Law salary, 88,434 requested, 88,434 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Anyone?
No.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
No. The next one is Coordinator, Public Affairs.
Oh, did you?
Oh, we have to do Director of Law, right?
No.
No, there's no sound.
There is no such thing.
Right.
Please roll.
Okay. So the next one is Coordinator, Public Affairs. I don't know where that is.
It's, Page
The next
17?
page
Yeah.
17.
Okay, Public Affairs, Event Coordinator, 40120-406-110, 8,000 requested, 8,000 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Are we doubling this position, or are we just giving that person a 50% raise?
Yeah, if I could explain the reason for the requested increase. As the council knows, we haven't had a public affairs director for quite a few months now. The few people we've spoken to who are interested said to take it at the 1,800, they expect more from an assistant than what was previously granted. And in checking around with other towns, the 8,000 is still well within line of what they pay between those two positions for a director and a coordinator to oversee and get all the events, from paper to execution.
So is this raise for this person, for Sasha, or is this for somebody else?
That remains to be seen whether.
Well, I mean, we write Sasha.
No, let me finish. It remains to be seen, once it's approved, if Sasha wants to pick up the extra hours, or if we put on another part-timer like she is at the 4,000.
But I don't want, but the way we're approving this is like we're giving her a 50% raise, so.
Well, we're giving the
I don't know.
position a 50% raise for more hours.
Is there a job description for that role?
There is, yes.
I believe so,
Yes.
Probably in the Ps. I guess. Public Affairs Coordinators, right after Leanne's position, right after Police Administrative Assistant.
Yep. And I'll just add in, without a public affairs director, as much as it's not my area of expertise, I'm doing that function for the Memorial Day Parade and ceremony. And Sasha is being a great help to me, putting in more hours than in the past, because the director used to put in more hours.
But didn't we have volunteers that used to do this work? Because years ago, these positions didn't exist.
We have mostly volunteers who help the days of the event, but there's a lot that goes on before the days of the event. This, for anyone, I mean, I don't want to shoot what's in the description, but, it's trying to get sponsorship for these events, doing all the paperwork. So it is significant above and beyond what the volunteers do, just the actual day of the event.
Mr. Mayor,
And
if I
Dave,
may.
I was just going to say,
If I may
please,
chime in a
since you
little
held the
bit.
position.
Okay, so this coordinator position, right, whether it's Sasha or somebody else, does call for so much in terms of, for example, and I'll use the Memorial Day Parade, it's about coordinating with DPW, the VFW, the police, the Knights, all the township sports, the vendors, the singers, the speakers. It goes.
The cars,
The
the
cars.
school for the band, there's a lot that
Band,
goes into it. I'm learning that firsthand this year.
Hope the checklist works. So there are so many moving parts. And when you're trying to coordinate something like that, at the same time, you're coordinating other events, right? So all the prep work for a town day is happening while you're trying to get this event underway. And then at the same time, if there's a summer concert or a summer movie, you're working to do that. So if we want to talk about, and I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Ullman, if you want to talk about employees that are working far beyond hours, these public affairs positions are that. And then in terms of volunteers, as we know, there are very little volunteers. We have, the public affairs, I volunteer on it. There's a core group, but they basically, come to the meetings, they know what's going on, but at the same time, they can't take on all these responsibilities. And thankfully, our volunteers are very proactive, but they take a piece, and there's only so much you can require that. Not everybody wants to go on their lunch break and make 1,000 phone calls. Did we get the cars? Did we get the sponsorship? Did we get the logo? Did we get the banner in? Did we, not everybody will do that.
She puts all those pieces together.
And she, between, in this case, Sasha, because that's the current person, and whoever would be the director, they do that. So for example, when I was the director, I would shoot a text to Sasha, can you please check if the banners, are delivered? Can you coordinate with the DPW and go pick them up? In between classes. So she would make all the phone calls and she would get the job done and then some. And, go out in between her opportunities and hit a Westwood vendor and the Township vendor and a sponsor here and pick up a check there. Today alone, she's drove and picked up checks for sponsorships, right? So we're looking at this 8,000, but what she's bringing over the course, or this position over the course of the year in sponsorship and public, support is great, right? Truthfully, these are two positions that are complete. They might as well be volunteer, because the amount of gas that I spent just driving to Walmart, to Staples, to here, it was just insane. Right? Especially for town day.
That's part of being a volunteer. You're going to give up that time and that money.
But not to this degree. If we go with Mr. Ullman's statement about totally being underpaid and underappreciated, quite frankly, it is way beyond.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
So.
I just don't, I don't understand if we're making this for 2 people or 1 people. That's all I want to make sure is.
Well, again, it's for a number of hours. It's not for 1 person versus 2. It's the number of hours that we're looking to cover for the position.
Unfortunately.
But you can make that 20,000 then, and then cover $20,000 worth of hours. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Mayor? You're throwing a dart into a boat. It's the volunteering is limitless hours. We all volunteer our time. We spend like Ms. Velez just said, I've spent all my lunch hours for the last 2 weeks calling vendors, getting the rentals for Saturday, getting all the.
And that's one event. Now imagine doing that across 10 and 12 events.
Well, again, it's a lot.
So, and when I first took on the position back in 2019, there was a need for events. People want activities to take their kids. They want the summer movies. They want the summer concerts. So there has clearly been a need and a desire for it.
But a lot of towns have like a full committee,
they have a position.
No. They have like a
salary.
volunteer, but they have like a volunteer committee that is in the public's eye all the time. That brings there's full board members. It's a full organization, but it's a town committee. It would be they would answer to council. There would be a council liaison position, or the mayor would appoint a committee that would say, hey, these are the events we want to run in 2024, and that committee would handle it. And if there is a paid person like Shasha is now, but the committee, the volunteers would handle the bulk of the work.
Yeah.
Which is the way it used to always run. I'm not saying nobody's disagreeing that she's not putting in a lot of time.
I have to take exception with that a little, Mike. The way it used to be run, we had 1 or 2 events in town. And, Daisy, under her stewardship of the public affairs, has made a lot more events. If we want to go back to 1 or 2 events,
Nobody's saying.
and what you're saying is true.
We always had a Memorial Day parade. We always had a town day.
Right. Well, other than those 2.
Well, I'm not
And the
saying.
volunteer pool has shrunk.
And aged.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
No offense.
That's a valid comment.
Shane and Mo.
No.
Any other discussion, ladies and gentlemen?
That's all right.
Do we have run books? Are they responsible for creating run books for these events?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Are they responsible for creating run books for the events?
Run books?
Yeah, so you ticked off, and as did the mayor, ordering the banners,
I think what we would call a checklist for each event. What has to be done, Mike, if I can paraphrase what you're saying.
a checklist. I would, wondering if we have at a minimum a checklist, or if there's
Well-
more expansive sort of instructions on how.
Well, I'll tell you, when I first took it on, like the mayor said, the events were limited and the need was there for more. So we experimented to see what would be more popular than others and what would be more in demand. And in doing so, I would consider myself organized. I've organized it in such a way that there are checklists for myself, or there was, where it'd be like, okay, well, these are in the police department needs, you need, the nights, you need to talk to the chief, you need to talk to this, blah, 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 blah. In the sports, contact, cheerleading, basketball, whoever it is. So there are areas that have been organized in that fashion. If that's what you're referring to, yes. And then I did that for my own organization. Sure. And by X month of the year, these calls and sponsorship letters needed to go out. But I basically was like, here's a position. And I, tried to organize it with the mayor's assistance and guidance on what can be done. And then Mr. DiCarlo, I do have to say, from the financial aspect, we've been able to do a lot of these events because the volunteers we do have and Mr. DiCarlo guiding us financially, we've been able to, raise some support for our events. But it has, going from very little to what we
It's
have.
morphed into a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's day and night, respectfully.
Ms. Velez, can we just say the amount of events that have increased since this person was 4,000? I mean, it's been 4,000.
Can we speak
before.
into the microphone, please?
It was 4,000 before the 5K, right?
What
The
was, I'm
banner.
sorry.
The salary range for this. So even since that time of when it was 2, we increased it to however many when it was 4,000. And then it was still 4,000 when we added the other programs. And that was the 5K,
Yeah, I mean, it's
the
been,
banner program.
we did the Halloween, the home decorating, we've added the 5K. There was, tree lighting was taken, further and enhanced. I could bring the checklist of how many events. We went from honestly like 2 or 3, whatever it
Nobody's
was.
disagreeing.
And I think we topped right before I left at about 12 or 13 events.
Right. But what I'm saying is when it was 4,000, we added more events. to
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
And that was the 5K, the banner program, just off the top of my head.
Yes.
And, unfortunately, there isn't more volunteers, but this person isn't a volunteer. They're an employee. So there's requirements set of them that they have to make as opposed to a volunteer being able to decide what and what not they want to do. So,
And we
Yeah.
do ask for more volunteers. You see me, I'm always out, hey, if you want to join, come on. I have Google Forms online. We have a specific form online just for general volunteering. Through the library, we reach out to them. Do you have any volunteers through the community center? So we're putting the request out there. And unfortunately, it's not being met with the desire. Everybody wants to attend the events, but nobody wants to show up and help. So you have to see what happens.
I'd just like
behind
to
the
add one
scenes.
other thing is, at the meetings, we have the pre-event meetings. The volunteers weigh in and, they have good ideas. But however, at the end of the meeting, and I can use her name. All right, Sashi, based on that meeting, you're going to now do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tasks that none of the volunteers, they make time for that meeting, but they don't have time, as Daisy was saying, to take their lunch hours and do these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just back to Mike's initial point,
Sure.
I think that there's generally a correlation between what we're approving and a line item in the detail. And this seems to differ. So are you looking to
Double her hours.
double her hours or hire someone to?
Well, yes to both. Double the hours for the position. Again, I can't say because I'm not going to ask someone to speculate. Hey, if I can pay you more hours, do you have the time to put in? I'd rather get the approval first and then say, all right, do you have the time? If not, then I have to look for someone else who will, it will be a dual role of assisting a coordinator as the title goes. And yes, based on what I'm seeing alone on Memorial Day parade and ceremony, obviously that's one of the bigger ones. But, each event probably takes, on average, even the smaller ones, 10 to 15 hours.
I mean,
Yeah, and that's the smaller ones. Yeah, I mean, for Memorial Day, Town Day, the tree lighting, the big, I'm gonna
You're
say-
seeing the to-do list that Ms. Follette sent out?
I'm working with it right now.
So
It's efficiency, it's trying to be efficient.
Somehow I get roped into public affairs.
what is this person's, because it says salary, but I'm assuming they get paid hourly.
No, they get paid a salary.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, correct. It's quarterly.
I mean, I will, if I could speak directly about Sasha, since it is open. I mean, what she has brought has helped so much. And if you notice, there really haven't been increases in the public affair lines because of her ability to go out there and seek sponsorship. Like I said, even today, she went and picked up checks.
That's,
And she has this personality, and, whether it's her or somebody else, but just speaking to
but
her.
my whole question is, if it's going to be her and we're going to give her $2,000 a quarter, let's just state that. I don't like that we're, I don't have a problem giving her a 50% increase if that's what we're asking for, but I can't get an answer. Is this for Sasha, or we don't know if it's for Sasha? That's the whole
Well,
thing.
I'm going to say we have a difference of opinion. I'm looking to fund what it takes to get the job done. If that takes one part-time person or two part-time people,
Okay.
I don't know right now. But
Okay.
the justification for the money, because the number of hours is what I'm basing this budget on.
Okay.
And it's real. It's a
Nobody-
real request.
But the,
No, I know you understand.
But it's just a matter of, is it for her or is it not for her? Like, I'd like to leave the meeting and tomorrow Mr. DeCarlo says, hey, you got a $1,000 a quarter increase if you're going to do double the amount of work or whatever it is. I shouldn't have said it that way, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Double the amount of work, she wouldn't sleep.
yeah.
Or this person.
All right. Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
yes,
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes.
Thank you.
OEM coordinator, Rio Fasciano. That's in the back, I believe, right?
Yeah, probably.
OEM,
OEM coordinator, Rio.
It's right
For
before
police,
police.
yeah, I think so.
So we're gonna go to like 24.
24?
Maybe it's right after police.
Yeah, it must be.
Police start on 24. You're gonna go to page 32.
I have OEM salaries and wages, is that it?
Yes, and once you
OEM
vote, I'll explain it.
401-25252-100, 2,500 requested, 2,500 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
second.
Discussion?
Thank you, Council President. This line includes two individuals. This would be the coordinator and the deputy coordinator. So if you go to the salary chart,
So
They're
it's
both
Clayton,
open, right?
Kenny, the Clayton, Kenny, and Rio
Correct.
Fasciano.
Yes.
So they would split $1,250 each.
yes, so Rio would be $1,836.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm sorry, $1,873, and Clayton Kenny would be $624. It's just a 2% increase request from last year's. But that line pays two people.
Okay, so that takes care of two line items for Rio Fasciano and Clayton Kelly, the OEM
Correct.
coordinator and the deputy OEM coordinator.
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
Roll call? Oh, sorry, Mike. Discussion?
Where do these positions report into? Do they effectively report into the
They report to
chief?
the mayor. No, the mayor.
To me.
To you?
To the mayor. I think what's important to understand is, God forbid, there is a declared emergency, they're in charge.
Yeah,
That coordinator's in charge of that emergency. Whether I'm there, the mayor's there, whether we
Yeah.
be here or not, or the
Right.
police chief's there.
yeah.
There's an incredible amount of responsibility on that individual and their deputy. And then, of course, if there is an emergency, they're responsible for working with the grant coordinator for FEMA reimbursements and stuff like that. So there is job classifications, but I think the biggest thing to tell you is, God forbid there's an emergency, there's a tremendous amount on these people's shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, the training they keep up with, and like Mark said, just the grants for FEMA and like that.
1033 program, they work
Yeah,
on
their
that.
portion of that, right?
So and both of these individuals have other roles within the township?
They're both police officers.
So understanding what you said, that they would be responsible for coordinating an emergency, does that interfere with their roles as police officer?
No, I've asked that a number of times, like every couple of years, just to make sure there is no problem with that. And the chief has always told me that there is not.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Abstain.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Next one is Director of Fire Department and the Police Dispatcher, Bill Burleys. He's open. So dispatchers is in the back, correct?
Director is on 33.
33.
At the bottom.
Yep, the bottom line, everyone. So Fire Department Director, 401-25265-110, 1,800 requested, 1,800 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
I can tell you that Bill, as a director, it's never ending. He's constantly answering questions. He has posed the fire board to their feet and the fire department. He's an excellent leadership in that position among the fire department. And anybody needs an increase, he should get it. But I definitely recommend the 1,800.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Any other discussion?
Is he I know active fireman has a connotation. He's active in the department?
Yes.
Also, just to piggyback on what Mr. Sears says, he takes an incredibly active role during budget season, managing the budget, and whether you're supposed to or not, has officially become the liaison between me and the ESB building as a whole. So, I mean, even in addition to what the traditional director of fire would be, he definitely takes his role serious and assures that his input, his attention, his participation is there for every step of the way.
Thank you.
And not to oversell it, but, he's my direct interface to the chief and the department. And as we know, that department has many people, volunteers in it. So he's, somewhat responsible, like the chief, for all of those people when they're out. And, so just the fact that he's my liaison to a department that big, also I think should count.
Thank you. Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
I'm going to say yes, but I think I might have to recuse myself. Is that correct?
Recuse.
Yes, thank you. I recuse.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. He is also a police dispatcher, which is on the top of page 32. Police dispatch and salary and wages, 401-25250-200. There are some police dispatchers, so Mr. Billius, Robert Held, and John Cassidy are all to be done in open. So Mr. DiCarlo, it says 4 full-time dispatchers totaling $194,000, holiday pay of 96 hours each, and a $2,500 supervisor stipend, and benefit time. Can you explain that?
Yes, so if we go to the salary chart, Bill
Okay.
Bilius
Yeah.
specifically is in the category of completion of third year. He was
What, is he on the first page or the second page?
Second page.
second page,
Oh, it's
all the way at the bottom. So his specific salary request for this year, which is 2% above last year, would be $49,980. In addition to that, he is also the supervisor of the dispatchers. Again, that's on the email from Chief Calamari, about halfway. It starts with paragraph Bilius. He also functions as a dispatch supervisor and has done well in his position for almost a year. That carries a stipend of just under
2448.
yeah, 2448. So in that specific line, we'd be talking about Bill Bilius, $49,980, and the stipend of $2,448.
What is benefit time?
This is one of those moments where I wish the chief was here.
Mhm.
I don't know, do you know how to explain, because it's not covered under an agreement?
Yeah, I'm afraid I will misexplain it and not do it the justice
Yes.
it deserves.
From what my understanding, there's been a long time policy within the police department that has dictated their holiday pay of 96 hours, and it's been consistent, and their benefit time. And I apologize, I think the mayor and I both count on the chief further explaining that. I don't have a total grasp of that, and I apologize.
But these are civilian employees,
These are
correct?
not police employees. They're not covered under
That's
that
correct.
Exactly.
collective bargaining agreement.
Correct.
So how would they fall into benefit time is my question.
Again, I'd be
You know what?
guessing it may have to do more with Pittman.
Yeah, they're definitely on the Pittman, as you can see, that we had that question before. If you, I can try to see, when we prepare the budget, the police department prepared a sheet for me outlining why the money was requested. If you just give me a minute, I can try and look at that up to see if I have it. Maybe even less than a minute.
And is this, I'll let you do that.
Maybe it's something I can answer, Mike.
Is the supervisory role new? I mean, we have a
No, I
chain of command in the police department that I assume manages the dispatchers. So, like, it seems we've created another level or management level. And, you know, is that necessary? Shouldn't it be managed by the police, the existing police command structure?
I don't want to address that because, again, I'm afraid I would do it an injustice. However, I can say the position, I can't give you the exact year, but it started once we went to full-time dispatchers, civilian dispatchers, I should say. And that's all I'm prepared to say about it, unfortunately.
So it's
Not trying to hide it, but I don't want to put out misinformation.
So it's more than a year or two? It's,
Correct.
okay,
Yeah, I would say it's 3 or 4.
okay.
Oh, I believe, okay.
You have an answer, Mr. DeColo?
In his support of this, it calls for cover their benefit time, meaning we're going to have to pay for part-time dispatchers to cover them while they're out on their benefit time. So that's included in here as well. And then the holiday pay of 96 hours each, that I'm not totally sure on how to provide any support. I know I did have an understanding of it to where it made sense. I don't feel comfortable saying.
I think I am, Mark, but again, please don't take it verbatim, is they work their holidays. they don't get holidays off. They're kind of like the police, a 24/7 operation. So I think that we pay them all 96 hours to cover the holiday pay.
But if they're not scheduled,
Why would we pay their holidays?
Again, a fair question. I don't have the immediate answer, so, I mean, we're happy to, go back tomorrow and ask the chief. And again, since I think you're mostly addressing budgetary, there's only one person who has it enclosed, but I don't think,
One person.
I don't think we would be discussing positions as much
No.
as the overall.
I guess
budget for
the
the
main
line
question
item.
is the benefit time and
Mhm.
the 96 hours,
Okay.
how it's covered when they're not
Right.
on shift during a holiday, like.
and certainly not for this discussion tonight, but in the near future, if we could review, I think Mike brought it up and it sort of resonated with me, that we no longer, 911 no longer comes into our dispatch.
That's correct. It's answered by,
Trevor, right?
no, Paramus, I think, isn't it? Yeah, it's answered by Paramus, but they just take the immediate, and then they usually have to get our dispatcher on the line to dispatch officers, actually, and like that. So they take the call. But again, my understanding, as soon as Paramus takes that call, they're already dialing our dispatch because they know they're going to need them on the call to more than likely dispatch officers or ambulance or fire.
So maybe we can review that topography, because I don't understand, and again, I don't want to divert the budget discussion, but why would we go 911 into Paramus for them just to call us?
As
Oh,
I guarantee it was a financial decision.
yeah, because to keep up with all the new 911 technology, even to get us where we needed to be, that we would have had to look at a $500,000 outlay, and it changes so rapidly that there's, again, please don't quote me on the numbers. We'd probably have to spend $100,000 each year to upgrade to keep up with the new technologies, how people can access 911 and like.
So do we want to just hold off on these 3 opens and the one closed? We just won't discuss that person, by name until we have Mr. DiCarlo and the mayor present this information. We request, is that okay?
And that's just those 2 lines, those 2, the
Yes.
holiday pay and the,
Yeah,
benefit time.
benefit time,
The holiday
96
pay, and
hours.
the 96 hours and the benefit time.
Right.
not a larger discussion.
No, not a larger, is everybody okay with that? I mean,
Where's the holiday? Or he means that?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
all right. So that finishes our list, except for the closed. There's 4 closed, which we'll do
At the end.
at the end, okay? So, Mr. DiCarlo, if Wednesday we could have that information, that'd be awesome. If not, we'll have to postpone it. Can we take a 5-minute recess?
Took the words out of my mouth.
Everybody okay with a 5-minute recess?
Perfect.
You just let Ricky know.
Perfect.
Probably heard me, but
Be distracted.
What time are we going to, Mike?
I wanted to go till 9:30, the latest.
You got a lot of pages to do.
All right, let's see how it goes. Okay, we're ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go.
Ricky said he's ready, and we're back on. All right, page 4, mayor's salary and wages, 401-20-110-100, $10,651.86 requested, $10,652 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Where?
Any discussion?
Yeah, I did that.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
I ran up.
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Who?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
and Council President DeSena.
Um,
I'm not a vote.
I know.
Sorry.
No,
Let's go.
I wanted to ask the general, I know we're discussing the 10,652, but I wanted to discuss all salaries and wages for mayor and council to reduce them under the threshold for pension payments. So I guess that was the discussion I wanted to have, but we put the motion out for this. So I'm going to say no to this, but it's not because of that. I have a larger discussion I wanted to have.
So passed.
Okay.
The next one on that page is none. The next one is Township Council salary and wages, 401-20-111-100, 31,710 requested, 31,710 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Sure. Discussing this, I saw what Mr. Ullman had done to reduce his compensation, keep it under the threshold. And I think that I would like to do that for all council members. We'll just stop playing the tiny pension game, because pension games are a thing in municipal budgets. So I want to take myself out of the EPR, and I'd like to reduce everyone's salary to the 496 to keep it under the $5,000 threshold.
Doesn't council president make a little bit more? I don't.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I have the salary one.
Yeah, but it's to,
Yeah, I understand what you're doing. I'm sorry. It was just a question to throw.
yeah, I believe it's like $750 more or something as council president, but
Council Pro 6692 versus 6457, but
so it's even less. I think.
Yeah, I didn't think it was
It's
$7.
$200, so it's $200 more. I apologize.
And you're well worth it, but not today.
Not today. So the motion is for 31,710. We have a second, so roll call on that.
But there's a motion for,
31,710. We motioned for the recommended and request in the book. Dr. Cassio's made
I didn't make any motion.
he didn't make any motion yet,
so
so
we're
let's
voting on
continue.
the 31,710.
Yes.
We're just discussing.
Okay.
Roll call.
Okay. Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
No.
That does not pass.
Council President, can I interrupt? Just for my own learning, what is it you're trying to alleviate? by
If we are paid $4,996, it alleviates the town's contribution of almost $1,500 to $1,750 a council person into defined pension contribution statements, funding. So
Gotcha.
the new motion would be 5 times
So
49.96.
who does that really
24,990.
affect? Does it affect
Everyone.
free?
No, it affects everyone. It affects you, it affects everybody. Everybody gets DCRP. for
Yeah,
being
but why
on-
would I want to reduce my money I'm getting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I don't know.
because that's not an answer, because.
No, because we shouldn't be benefiting off coming up with a small pension payment every year of, it's about $1,800 per person on this day, plus the 66. I forget what you said. I forget the exact number we get paid.
But we're working for it. We're contributing to the town. We're doing extra things for the town.
We're working a lot.
A lot.
Nobody's disagreeing with that. My position is that, I don't like the pension payment.
Mike, may I make a question? Mike, just because where did you come up with those numbers from, 1,500 to 1,700?
If you go on your DCRP statement per year, I believe that's what it's putting up.
I don't pay attention to that area, so.
So,
I may be off a few dollars,
Yeah, no.
but there is a contribution the Township of Washington has to make based on our salary being above the
Yes, I know that.
49.96
Yeah,
threshold.
right.
Because I believe Mr. Cumming used to reduce his also to 49.96 every year to avoid having that because he had a pension already.
Well,
So-
if you three want to reduce it, that's fine. I mean, I won't stop you, but I think I'm well worth and Ms. Velez is well worth the money.
The time that, I won't speak for everybody, but the time, and I feel free to speak for you, Councilman Sears, the time that we spend working for this town it's basically a full-time job. We are nonstop. So I'm not,
Nobody's disagreeing with that. There's a lot of work.
then please don't reduce
Like,
my salary.
You three want to reduce it, please go ahead and do it. But I don't think you should make a decision on my pension.
I'm not making that. That's my motion. You know, the motion was from Mr. Cassio asked that it be reduced to
Well,
49.96.
then-
We don't have a new motion. The existing one fails, so it reverts back to the old one, correct? Ms. Witkowski? The motion failed.
So you revert back to what, the 32, or you're saying the 31,710?
No, it
It
reverts
didn't
back.
pass, it's 31,710.
So what does it revert back to, Mr. Pollard's off?
Because it's 32,520 was the previous one, which is more.
But like every other line item, I don't think it reverts back to anything. You have to
Reverts it-
approve
you have
some
to do-
amount.
You have to do an amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just ask for clarification, just so I understand this? Because if the township's paying about $1,500 based on a salary of $6,500, that's like a 25% pension payment. I just want to make sure that.
I may be off.
But even before you make a decision for yourself,
Can you maybe want to table this and we'll get more exact numbers? for
I-
Wednesday?
well,
well, I don't know if I should be offering, but if they want to do it and keep the salaries the same for the other council, then.
Yeah, I think that's a discussion.
Yeah.
No, it's
What's
discussed.
the question?
No, the
You wanna
the
table
motion is to table it, and I will get the exact, tomorrow I will open up my DCRP account and see what it is per year. I know there's, in the 4 years, it added up to.
I'm just saying, I'm respectfully saying that if you want to mess with your pension contributions, then by all means, but I respectfully request you not do the same, nor count my dollars.
Are you
nobody-
willing for us to do the math real quick, Council President, just to see what it would bring the line to if you guys?
It would be 24, if we did all five, it would be 24,980.
What if we could figure it out if the three of you did the 4,996 and what it would be for them?
Well,
Is that okay?
let me get the exact numbers of approximately what the DCRP is for the next meeting on Wednesday.
You want me to do that?
You can't,
Okay.
yeah, you can get it too, but.
Okay. I didn't know if it'd be more helpful to get everybody's
Yeah,
revenue.
no, well, we don't want to get the exact, but it's going to be close, what, per year goes in.
Okay.
Mr. DeCarlo, if you can run my number
Yeah.
specifically, I would appreciate it.
Okay, so the next thing,
Oh, that's right, that's the.
so there's nothing left on that page.
Mike, just to amplify what you said or to make my own statement, when I was on the council previously, I made the same request. I'm not saying anyone is worth it or not worth it. There are towns in the area that the council is not compensated in any way. To me, at least personally, this was a middle ground where there is some level of compensation, but I don't become a long-term burden to the residents of the town or the state by collecting a pension that may or may not be funded properly and eventually, be paid out.
Okay, thank you.
I take offense to that because I'm not a burden. In fact, I do a lot to contribute more than a lot of people who don't run for public office do. So I do not consider myself a burden by requesting and having this.
Okay. So let's table it for tonight. We'll bring it back up on Wednesday. There is nothing else on page 5. On page 6, I don't have anything there except the assistant to the clerk, which Ms. Witkowski said she was still
Yeah,
doing some more
working on-
research
yeah,
on.
there's still
So
some
we'll leave page 6. That's the only item on page 6 left. Page 7 is complete, correct, Ms. Witkowski?
I have it.
Well, actually, you approved the assistant, but it was, we could go back to it later if we have to, but I will.
No, the
Back to it
assistant's,
together.
but that, on page 6, the only thing
Yes.
we have left is the assistant with the possibility of revisiting.
Right, well, you
It is
approved it when
complete,
it
yes.
is, but if, yes.
Yes, I don't have anything on page
I
7.
see nothing on 7,
8 is complete.
correct?
9 is complete.
Correct?
10 is complete.
Correct?
11 is complete, correct?
Mm-hmm.
12 is complete.
Mm-hmm.
13 is complete.
Mm-hmm.
14 is complete.
Mm-hmm.
15 also.
Mm-hmm.
16 also.
Nope.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We tabled.
You were
We
just
tabled-
waiting to
Good
say
try.
it.
No, we tabled law, tax appeals, appraisers.
Correct.
15,000, 401-201-60-210, 15,000 requested, 15,000 recommended. We did table that item, yes,
Yes.
you are correct. So with I guess the question was, and it was briefly given, we're doing
I
a
have a
full,
motion in a second.
do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So with the appraisal that's going to happen this year, we wouldn't be expecting a lot of appraisers this year. It would be for the new bills next year. So did we really need to keep this line at 15,000? We only spent 3,043. The most we've ever spent was in 2022 of 7,900. So 8,000, let's call it 8,000. So are we okay bringing this line down to 10,000? That would be my recommend.
Are you making a motion for that?
Yes, my motion would be to make it 10,000.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that?
History shows that it's
8,000 is the highest it's ever gone. And we don't expect any this year, so
And that's because we're doing
the appraisals this year,
Okay.
next year, and then hopefully next year we don't have that many either because everybody will be at the right number.
Correct.
Roll call,
Councilman Cassio?
this is for the 10?
10,000, yes.
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. The last line on this page is asked to be enclosed, so we will have to, page 16, if you go to your chart, he will be enclosed.
I did not hear back from certain people, which reverts it to a closed, and he is one of them,
Okay.
just so everybody knows.
So
So we could just do the position and not go to close if everybody's okay with that, right? Because according to
sorry,
Mr.
one
Pollard,
page 17?
page 16, the
16.
last
No, no, no.
item.
About him.
Department of Engineering salaries and wages, 1,800 requested, 1,800 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
This is the director.
Director, yes.
Okay.
Roll call?
Councilman Cassio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Page 17, I don't see anything.
Public Affairs Director,
No. That's
it's currently
Yes,
vacant.
yeah, 401-20406-100, 1,800 requested, 1,800 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Do we have someone there today?
Not currently. Like I said, with the coordinator position, we've spoken to a few people who did not feel comfortable taking it because they were afraid at the 4,000 number for the coordinator, too much work would fall on them. So now this gives me the opportunity to go back to those people and say, you know, council funded it for 8, and so are you interested in the position?
So it can't, again, we wouldn't be making the same person all three positions, right?
All three
Three?
positions?
Well, the two, the one or two plus this, it's not all gonna be the same person.
I'm going to say I wouldn't exclude Sasha.
Okay. And I'm not picking, I'm just asking a
Yeah.
general question. I just,
Yeah.
because we have the same problem with the other, they'd be reporting to themselves, so it
Mhm.
kind of defeats the purpose, so. Roll call?
Can,
Oh, sorry, Lynn.
since Q1 is behind us, can we at least reduce it to 1350?
As long as you want to increase it next year for that little amount, if 350 means something for this year. I always look at it, it adds to the 2% cap every year, so a drop in 1 year. But that's my own opinion.
Is that really going to add something?
Roll call. Oh, you want
What do we-
1350?
No, I would agree with Mayor Calamari. We'll leave it at 18.
Okay.
Motion for 18, if that's what.
Yep, that's what we motioned
Oh,
for.
okay.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
No.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Nothing left on page 17. Page 18, I have complete.
Yes.
Page 19, the only thing I'm missing is planning board office supplies at the bottom of the page.
Yes.
401-21-180-210, 400 requested, 400 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
I'm sorry, Michael.
At the bottom of page 19,
19, top of 20 is the,
office supplies for the planning zoning board.
Historical data is on the next page.
Yeah, it's kind of cut off. They spent $350 last year, was the 2023
The
actuals.
past few years, it's been close.
I'll motion.
Okay. Roll call?
Councilman Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. On the following page, the whole page is blank, so we'll continue down. Planning Department subscription, 401-21-180-240, 200 requested, 200 recommended. Do I have a discussion, motion?
Motion.
Second? Any second?
Second.
How do we, can we run how did it get to 200 exactly? It's
I probably had to,
borrow money from it?
not borrow money from it, but I probably split the charges between that and another line. But
Yeah, could be the zoning board, the same type of line item.
Mr. Ullman's probably on it. On that page of it. You want the expenses?
I'm just trying to find it, if you could find it quicker. It's just,
It's in the page 60 range.
page 60 in the run rate.
Office supplies, dues, what are we doing, dues? What
Are we
are we
doing
Subscriptions and
office?
books.
Okay, page 66.
We're doing subscription and books.
21180-240.
240.
240.
Yeah, so,
But did we?
yeah, so we most likely, $160.50 for a textbook for planning and zoning training,
Okay.
planning board books, $36 each.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes.
Did we do a vote on 210?
210?
Office supplies, the one right above?
Yeah, that's what we did
Yeah.
Yes,
before.
we did. We did, we left at 400.
Yeah, we did for the
On the
400.
page before, page 19 at the very bottom.
No,
That's
no,
what we just did. Yeah, we did it before this one. You voted for it.
Yeah,
no,
you voted for
I have a different,
It falls on it's like the actuals are on the second page, on the top of the, but we
no,
did.
that was planning. Oh, I'm sorry. I wrote the vote for, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Planning Department Board dues, meetings and conferences, 401-21-180-250, 2,600 requested, 2,600 recommended. It is $2,400 for WCTV. Is that to televise the meetings, Mr. Mayor, or
Yes.
Correct.
Motion?
Motion.
do I have a motion? I'm sorry.
Motion.
Second.
So is it per meeting? Is it a per
It
meeting
is.
charge?
Correct.
So if they get canceled, we don't, of
Correct.
course, we don't pay it.
Correct.
And are we televising the zoning board also, or just the?
You
planning?
are.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Planning Department Board Legal Services, 401-211-180-260, 24 meetings at $250 per meeting, and anticipating 4 extra meetings, 7,000 requested, 7,000 recommended. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Somebody second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Planning Department Board Legal Advertising, 401-211-180-310, 600 requested, 600 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Planning Department Board Consulting Non-Legal, 401-211-180-320, Master Plan Proposal of $85,500 from Burgess Associates, $85,350 recommended, requested, 86,350 requested, 86,350 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? So my biggest thing with this is that this was recommended more than 3 years ago. I'm not going to sit back and let us keep getting, in trouble with our master plan. But, we really sat on this and burdened this council. This should have been done 3 years ago. It's something that needs to be done. I have full faith in Mr. Burgess and his associates to get it done properly and bring us into 2024, but it's not fair that sitting on this dais, we're absorbing this cost now.
Mike, the only thing I would, I don't disagree with you, the only thing I would ask is, and I don't have my book with me, but it's the 85.5 included one component. I want to say it was like 7,000, I could be mistaken, for lack of a better term, public spaces, the evaluation of that.
Haven't we done that already?
No. So it would be.
So it's more than 85.5, you said?
No,
That's
call it 80,
included.
right?
Yes, it would be 80. So, it's recommended, or it's one of the recommended components.
But does the 85.5 cover that recommended component, or it doesn't?
It does. I'm just wondering, do we want to either not do it this year?
I think if we need to complete this, it's something that's so long overdue.
Just needs to be
It
completed.
needs to be completed. It's not fair that,
What year did you say this was introduced
this has
originally?
been talked about for the last 3 years. It's been ongoing. We've talked about this with Mr. Burgess since I was on the planning board, and it's been sat on. There was committees that were working on it, and it's not fair that we're in the trouble we are right now.
Well, when they did the reval,
The re-exam.
the re-exam, that still covers us, but what was
But it's a
not,
1980
what was-
document.
well, in 2019, we did the reval,
The re-exam.
the revamp. And that was explained to us that we would be covered until 20-something, only to find out that the company did not embed it into the original master plan. Now, that left all of us at a
At a
disadvantage,
disadvantage, yeah.
And-
We've been like this since 2019.
and it's
It's got to get done.
we're still covered, but what came along is the new additions to the master plan, like stormwater management, the public safety end of this. So that's extra, and I agree with you. we need to get this done. There's a lot of things pending on it. The council did approve a lot of the recommendations and ordinance.
But they have
So,
no teeth because they're not part of the master plan.
well, they are in a sense part of the master plan,
So,
but it's not completely embedded into the 1974 master plan document. So this would bring us up to 2025, which we really needed before.
Absolutely.
How long do these typically,
You're supposed to do it every 10 years.
the master plan?
Yeah,
Wow.
We haven't done one in 30 years or more.
yeah.
so just, Burgess, had two, they have two projects they're undertaking. The reevaluation,
Re-examination.
was one, and there were 4 recommendations that came out of that were not codified. So it was discussed, we've actually been reviewing it at the planning board, and I believe there's a discussion between Mr. Sabino, Burgess, and Ken. I don't know if you were involved, Peter, excuse me.
That's okay.
Who would write the ordinances for the council to consider. So we're probably going to have a number of ordinances on the reexamination.
So the sooner the better.
And then the total review of the master plan is a second phase.
Gotcha.
Right.
So there's a short-term fix and then the long-term fix of the full re-examination is what you're saying. Am I correct?
The short-term
Because that's what was originally proposed when I was on planning board last time, was that we would have a short-term solution with ordinances and small adoptions of things that would kind of protect us, but still not relieve us of what's in the 1974 or 74 document.
Correct. I think we're going to get a ordinance on zoning, size of lots, and potentially a new zone. The second was, help me here, impervious coverage.
Yes.
And the third was commercial vehicles. That may be deferred because there's a little more discussion on that.
Okay.
And then the fourth is height, but that's impacted by current litigation,
Okay.
so we can't do that.
They'll put, yes.
Okay.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
What amount are you doing?
This is for the whole
The
one.
whole kit and caboodle.
86350.
So when you're making plans of where you can, this was an unforeseen number, it's a $90,000 number that you couldn't have foreseen looking at last year's budget.
Sure, but that wasn't my question. Mr. Ullman talked about there was different sections to do, and one, was like almost an à la carte thing, we could take one out, right? For a section.
There was only, I think
There
there
was two
were,
that we could take out and get by without.
I don't think it was two.
Just one.
I think there's only one.
Recreation.
I wouldn't recommend doing that because we have the swim club that we're sitting on.
Right.
That would be part of that recreation that we need to decide what we're going to do with it. So
Yeah, I understand.
I wouldn't cut it, but
I
it's up to you.
understand.
It's your vote, not mine, at the moment.
Thank you very much.
We have
Not
no,
what I really wanted to make, but, in the grand scheme of things, it's something that should have been done a while ago. We have to do it, and I really can't, in light of our recreational needs, we can't take that component out. I wish we could at this point, but I'm okay with it. Yes.
we reviewed, we can't capitalize this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Why
did
not?
ask.
Why not?
It was asked if you can capitalize it, but you cannot capitalize it.
You can't capitalize
Re-examination.
re-examination. We discussed it with.
Yeah, no.
Who's next, Mrs.?
You ready?
Yep.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes,
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Planning Department Board Training, 401-21-180-370, 500 requested, 500 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Omen,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. The bottom of page 21, I have one item for zoning office supplies, 40121185210, requesting a new computer screen, 1,000 requested, 1,000 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? This monitor is that expensive, Mr. DeCarlo?
No, we're only asking for a $250 increase. So we're anticipating $750 be towards everything else other than the computer screen. So roughly $250 for the computer screen.
So we only spent $350 last year.
I reviewed it with,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the prior 5 years, it
Yeah.
seems to go up and down. I don't know the exact reason offhand, obviously, but
I'd reduce it to 900. I'd make a motion for 900.
Excuse me, Council President DeSena?
Yeah,
Just so you know, for this account, there was a transfer resolution done on December 18th of 1,400. So you really spent 1,700 and change in this account. Just keep that in mind.
so we bought, for office supplies, Mr.
No.
Corcoran?
no, that's just the line we put it in, I believe.
That's what I'm saying, it's not office supplies,
We transferred in or out?
transferred in.
You transfer it in.
So what's
Because
the,
for this account, I wrote notes down.
Hold on, let me look at the audit trail, please.
what page is the audit trail, you know?
Page 73.
Yeah, if you look at page 73, the last item, you'll see it.
Yeah, but then we didn't expense it.
Yeah, there's extra money left in there.
No, it was, when you do a transfer, you pick one line for it to go into because it's a sub-account. I just don't, I'd have to look through this to see what expense we actually used.
Well, I don't see why we transferred the 1,400 in there, because the last expense on 1017 was for training of $10, and it left $420.
And I'd have to go to the transfer resolution.
It's
I mean,
for
I can
legal.
pull it up.
It's for legal services.
That's most likely what it was.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be in office supplies.
That's just, again, it's just, I really can't argue that, but the answer is it was just put into this line, and then I'm sure we overdrafted legal. If you look at legal, we went over by $1,653. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah. But yes, I can't argue with you. It should have probably went specifically into legal services,
Yeah,
but it was just chosen.
all right. I'll make a motion for 900 requested, 900 recommended. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Omen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Zoning office, subscription and books, 40121185240. 200 requested, 200 recommended. Last year, they spent 0 on this line. It's for 4 new members.
Yeah, they plan on using every bit of it this year.
Okay, roll call?
Have a motion?
Motion, I'm sorry.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Actually,
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Omen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Zoning office, dues, meetings, and conferences, 40121185250. 13 meetings at $250 per meeting for videotaping. 3,500 requested, 3,500 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? This is for WCTV again?
yes.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Omen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Zoning Office Board, Legal Services, 401-21185-260, 13 meetings at $250 per meeting, $30,000 anticipated expense for litigation and 2 lawsuits, $33,000 requested, $33,000 recommended. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion?
Do we know what the I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'll make a motion
Yeah, we've
for
talked
discussion.
about the litigation and.
That's right, I'm sorry.
Can't talk about in public.
Right, okay.
So
Motion?
Motion, do I have a motion and a second? Mr. Sears
Second.
motioned it, and Mr. Casio seconded. Discussion? The 2 lawsuits were discussed in closed a few meetings ago, so we can't discuss them now.
I mean, you can bring up the topic if you want, what
Yes.
they're about, but that's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's two land disputes in township
Mhm.
that we currently are in litigation with the
Right.
applicants.
just so I'm clear, the two are, one is
One is the corner lot at Pascack, Washington and Pascack, and the other one is at the Hillsdale, Washington Township border on Coke Peak and Taylor.
understood.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes,
Councilman Oman,
Yes,
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Zoning Office Board, Legal Advertising, 401-21185-310, 500 requested, 500 recommended. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes,
Councilman Oman,
yes,
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Zoning Office Board Training, 401-21185-370, 500 requested, 500 recommended. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Second? Any discussion? I'll second it.
Thank you.
Any discussion?
yeah, I just, the zoning and the planning office have the same training. I don't know if there is a schedule for the new training, or is this complete in terms of the training that was undertaken last year?
Last year's training is complete. There's land use law tends to, be updated, revised, changed. So we're anticipating any more training this year as well. So last year we used money out of both lines. It is the same individual, but we used money out of both lines. But there is planning and there is zoning.
Okay.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes,
Councilman Oman,
Yes,
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Bottom of page 23 is the last line on that page. Uniform Construction Code, CCO inspections, 401-22-195-189. We had tabled this. Do you have any
Yes.
notes, Mr. Kennedy?
I have the information for you, but I didn't know if you have to make the motion first or.
Yeah, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second.
Discussion, Mr. DeCarlo, you have the information you said?
Yes, so speaking with Darius McCoy, our uniform construction official, it's in direct relationship to how many homes are sold. So for the CRI, the resale certificate and fire inspection, we charge a fee of a total of 140. So respectfully, 100 for the resale and 40 for the fire inspection. The inspectors then get paid out of this line, a total of $75 for both, 50 for the CRI and 25 for fire. So again, we'd be making a judgment on how many houses we think sold. So that's why you see the fluctuation. Really can never say that it met the 12,500. I think that's what your thought process was last time. That's why you had asked me to get some more information.
So is everybody
But it's
okay?
really how many houses are going to sell and making
So-
sure we have the money to pay for those inspections.
Everybody okay with reducing it to 11,000? That would be my motion. It's never gone above that.
I'll second that.
You'll second that? We have a motion by me and a second by Mrs. Velez for 11,000. Roll call.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
On the question,
On the reduction of $1,500.
Right, what happens if we,
We have to find money from somewhere else.
okay, well, that solves the problem.
There's plenty of money everywhere.
Oh,
Yes,
please, I hope you're kidding.
I said it's sarcastic.
Councilman,
All right, good.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. On page 24, it's complete, right? Oh, no, I have the top Uniform Construction Code subs and books.
No, there's nothing recommended.
Oh, there's
No,
nothing
that's
recommended,
recommended.
okay. I have that page done. On the bottom of page 20, I have the table. I have dental, life, and accident, and medical, all of that tabled.
Yes.
I have health benefits tabled and dental, life, and accident tabled. Mr. DeCarlo, you were going to get us a
Yes,
sheet for the last meeting?
I think Ms. Witkowski gave it to you maybe a meeting or
Yes.
two ago. Do you still have it?
I-
If not, I asked, Ricky has a slide.
Yeah, can you bring up the slide then, if you don't mind?
Yeah. If you don't mind, just give me 30 seconds to get my paperwork.
I thought I put it in this book, but for some reason it's not in here. Do you have an extra copy?
So we voted on dental, because that was.
No, we tabled dental
We
also.
tabled it also.
We tabled both.
Okay.
You want to do the easy one first? Because it would be recommending, or, again, I don't like to lower anything, but like dental, life, and accident, we can lower, and then the health benefits is just going to be a little bit more of a discussion. Whichever order you want to do.
Well, you got the slide, so the slide, what do we have to, let's do dental life. And so dental life accident 401-23-220-010, 72,000 requested 72,000 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Oh,
Okay. I'd like to,
So discussion, Mr.
I'm sorry,
oh, we'd like to,
Councilman Ullman, I'm sorry, Councilman Ullman moved, second was by,
Ms.
Ms. Velez.
thank you, I'm sorry. Sorry.
So just to give you some more clarity, but ultimately, we'd feel fine with lowering it to 55,000. But if you guys have this document, if not, I do have an extra one I could pass down.
Could you pass that down, Mr.
Yeah.
Carlo, if you don't mind?
Good idea.
What are you gonna take a picture of it on your phone?
I'm a blind squirrel.
Hey, that was a good idea, Mr. Ullman. You're taking a picture of it on your phone, all right. I'll pass it down. I want the original, because I can't see on my phone either, so.
Just bear with me, because when I was prepared to go like 2 meetings ago, I had like an excellent argument for everything, and now, of course, I forgot all my good arguments. So, but ultimately, you have on the bottom the first quarter expenses. Mr. Holman, that's very distracting. You type it in your number.
I'm sorry to be quiet.
The first quarter expenses for dental, life, and accident. Dental is just under 12,000. Life insurance, which is for DPW and police, is a little over 1,000.
Thank you.
And then accident insurance, you're not going to see that in the first quarter expenses that we sent or in here, because it's not paid traditionally until about September. And that's for the volunteer fire department.
That's $2,500.
Yes. So if you times 4, add in the 2,500, it gets us just to kind of below 55,000. Gives us a little bit of cushion. That's why we feel
We're comfortable enough.
comfortable to lower it to 55.
Right.
So 48,000, right? If we just round it up to 12,000, right? That's 48,000.
Was 4.
Dental, I'm saying. If you make it 12,000, that's 48,000. 2,500 for the accident and 1,050 for the DPW life and fire, right? Those
Times
are,
4.
no,
So
those are
it's
quarterly or those?
4,200.
What's that?
It's 4,200 in total. You got a time, I believe the life insurance is quarterly.
It is.
Oh, that's why I didn't know. That's why I was asking. It's quarterly. Okay. So it's 48,000 for dental, 4,200, let's call it, for life, and 2,500 for accident, right? So it's 44,700. You want to make it 45,000. I'm okay with it.
No, I want to make it 55,000.
I'm sorry, no,
Next year.
52, 54. It's 54,700. It's 54,700.
Yeah, if you can give me that couple $100 buffer just in case, because we won't really know how
So the
much.
new request is for 55,000, which would be a $14,000 reduction in line items 010. Is that correct?
Yes.
The, The life insurance, it states DPW and police. Do staff members not receive life insurance?
They do not. This is a CBA.
That's in their contract, both
It's in
of
their
their contracts.
contract.
So what would it cost do we know what it would cost to grant everyone one time their base?
Probably not more than $4,000 because I'm giving you a very rough, maybe idiotic, answer, but there's more employees for DPW and police than there are that don't receive it. So I can't imagine it would be more than the $4,200.
I mean, I don't know.
I would be happy with making this 60,000 and giving everybody a one-time, their salary death benefit. I'm okay with that. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Ullman?
Well, I think that's
Fair.
somewhat standard.
Yeah, that's standard. I mean, mine's 3 times, so.
I'm sorry, what's the,
So Mr. Ullman asked, does the staff, other than volunteer fire department, get life insurance, excuse me, it's Department of Public Works and Police, they get 1 times their salary as life insurance. But the rest of the staff does not. So Mr. DiCarlo said it would be approximately a $4,000 increase to do that for all the staff. So if we make this 60,000 and make it a stipulation that all the staff gets the same life insurance policy that the DPW and the police get, is everybody okay with that? So the new request would be 60,000 from Mr. Ullman. I'll second that for adding life insurance to all our employees in the building.
Does that include, okay.
All full-time employees?
All full-time employees only, yes, full-time employees. So the motion is to make it 60,000, which would only then give us a savings of 12,000.
to include all full-time employees?
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
I agree with you, Mr. Ullman. It's something that everybody gives as a free life insurance of your,
I mean, at Verizon,
I get 3 times my.
you at Verizon?
Yeah.
I mean, you would have received one-time salary or multiple of your base salary?
Okay.
And
I believe
Councilwoman
the
Phillips?
state gives 3 times your salary,
Yeah,
right? Ours is 3 times.
ours,
Yeah, yours too.
yes.
Okay.
So, Mr. DiCarlo, if you can, we'll make that 60,000 as the new council recommend and request. Roll call for 60,000, but including life insurance to all employees.
Full-time.
Full life insurance for all full-time employees. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes,
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Health benefits, 401-23220-000, 1 million requested, 1 million recommended. We have a breakdown from Mr. DiCarlo that he just sent around.
If WCTV could please pull up that first slide. John, you don't mind if we nix you for a second on the screen and if we can make that slide bigger? It's a really important slide. Can we?
he's muted.
He's muted. You're muted, John.
Oh, wait a minute. It's really, really
I'm
big.
not sure how to take myself off.
No, you don't have to. I think it would be something that Ricky
Okay.
can do, right?
Sorry.
So,
Ricky, can you make the slide the whole screen and take Mr. Corcoran off temporarily or no?
all right. If you can't see it, I'll explain it to you. So I'm actually glad we tabled this so I could give you a better understanding of how this line is going to work.
I can't control Zoom. You'd have to disable his video. You have to turn off your video, Mr. Corcoran.
Just your video.
Just your video.
Video.
Don't hang up. There you go. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Corcoran.
There you go.
All right, so remember last meeting we discussed this, the council, I'll just say generally, was trying to understand where the cost savings was. So that first slide where it says $1,001,090, that's what the cost of our health benefits was in 2023.
Okay.
In 2024, the cost would be $1,076,682. So that's what I'm pleased about being able to table it to show you that. So you're not seeing a tangible savings, But if we didn't go to the difference card, instead of asking you for $1 million, I would have been asking council for $1,076,000. So because we're going to difference card, we're immediately saving the increase in healthcare from 23 to 24. Hopefully that makes sense. Then to explain it lower, the revised fixed cost. So instead of paying $1,076,000 for direct 10 or direct 15, by going to direct 20/35, the cost of the carrier and the difference card. So the carrier would be the premium for 2020-35, and the cost of the difference card, which will be just under $1,800 a month, right? So it's $51.35 per employee. Right now, there's 30. That was based on 35 employees. I think there might be 36 employees that take healthcare. That's what we'll pay to the difference card to enter into their program, would be $1,800. So we pay the state health benefits plan, the cost of the premium goes right from us to the state health benefits plan. Then from us to the difference card is the $1,797.25 based on 35 employees, right? Might give or take. You know, we had someone resign that not taking it. Maybe we're going to hire, someone that does take it or something changes in their life. That's where that 843,228 is. How we get to the 916,000, that difference of between 916 and 843 are what the claims were when they gave us this proposal. So that's where we talked about funding a specific separate account with the bank. So we have to fund at least that difference in a separate account to pay for those charges. So that's when they put this proposal together. It was based on the experience report. Is that what it's called? Experience report. Our claims when they did this, whether it was 22 or 23, probably in 23, about $75,000, $75,000. That's how we get to the 916,000.
But that 916 does not include the employee contributions of
It does not.
266. Excuse me, what is it? Your employee contributions were 266,000, is that correct? Well, it's
Let me
actually,
just read what
it's actually 81,108.76 per quarter, right?
And you're looking at what I had given you, right?
So it's
the first-
81,108.76 a quarter, right? So that's got to be multiplied by
Yes.
4.
So 218 times 4.
81,108.76.
And then the waivers,
108.76 times 4 is 405. Wait, that doesn't make sense.
hey, you got times 4.
That's what I did, yeah. 81,108.76 times 4 equals 324, 435.
What? Aren't you doing 218,526.56 times 4?
No, what is the employee contributions, right?
Yes. So
81,000.
just use that number, the net expense number of 218,
Okay.
526.56 times 4.
All right.
Then we have anticipated waivers of a little over 21,000.
What do you mean by waivers?
So employees that opt out of health insurance are privy to a waiver up to $5,000, but it also depends on what their salary is. So, and I'm pretty sure I had given that to you too.
So if you do not take medical
Right.
and
You get a
you are
waiver up to about $5,000, up to $5,000.
over a certain threshold in your compensation, you basically get a payment.
Basically, that's right. So right now, there's 5 employees that
That get
opt out of healthcare.
$21,000.
That opt out of healthcare, that total up to 21,162. But not all of them are 5,000.
Correct.
3 of
They're
them
all
are
over.
5,000, 2 of them are $3,081.18 based on their salary. Just to throw out to you, if those same 5 people came back and wanted healthcare, it would cost $131,000, $245.32.
That's
That would be
fine.
the municipality share.
Yeah, that's,
So obviously, it's a good benefit that these people opt out. So 21,162 rather than 131, and that's, again, that
so
would be-
going back to your slide,
Yeah.
the 916 number, right? That's what we need in the account. That's full payment. That's without employee contributions, right?
That's without, see, that's, yes, I just, can you let me think for a second? I don't want to rush to a decision, but
Wow.
I believe so. I believe
So,
that's,
so if you take, let's call it 920 for talking, right? I'll give you the 33,000 something. You make it 920. Now we got to subtract out the employee contributions. Can Mr. Corcoran come back on live, if you don't mind? I'd like to hear what he has to say, what the average. So according to this sheet, Mr. Corcoran, it's saying that per quarter, we have $81,108.76 in contributions back into the system to pay premiums, correct?
Yes.
So if we multiply that by 4, that is a typical number that would reduce that 916 number. Is that a fair statement?
I was under your assumption that for the year, it was approximately 260,000.
All right, so, but what my question is, so my question is, out of the 920, right, that's our full buyout for 2024 medical benefits is 916,469, which we are now rounding up to 920 for talking purposes. And the employee contribution back into the system is 260. Is that a fair statement?
I would say roughly around there, yes, give or take, yes.
So,
So there's a $660,000 liability we have in employee benefits. Is that a fair statement, Mr. Corcoran?
say no.
I would say approximately, yes. It might be a little bit higher, but that's.
Okay, let's call it 7, let's call it,
That's a good estimate.
let's call it 700.
Yes, so 700 would be, I think, a fair number.
Thank you. That's all I need to know.
What you also need to take into consideration is the waivers and then employees' change of life. Someone can get married and have a child all in the same
Well, that's why
year.
we put the extra $40,000 in there. And we're rounding up everything.
Where's the extra 40,000?
It was 660 was the real number, and I said, let's call it 700. Mr. Corcoran agreed. It was when you reduce the 96, make it 920 and 260, you come up with 660, and you bring it up to 700,000, so you have some change of life events in there included.
Yeah, but that's not even one change of life. Because if someone goes from a single to a married with a child, it's significantly more.
Yeah, but
Plus you gotta account for
they're
the-
also going to start contributing significantly more.
They are,
Yeah.
but not in comparison to how much the healthcare is going to cost us. So if they only make contributions based on what their salary is, but the health coverage still costs the same amount of money. So if I'm making 150,000, I'm
You're gonna get
contributing the
35%.
most amount towards, let's just say, $50,000 plan. But if someone's at the lowest bracket and they're making 50,000, they're only contributing based on their salary, not on how much the premium costs. So if they're paying, say, $10,000 for a single, and then they go to a married child and it goes to 50, those aren't exact numbers. There's a $40,000 difference.
No, but they're paying a percentage of the premium of the plan.
Right, but they're only paying it based on their salary. So
Yeah, but
the less they make, the less they contribute.
Absolutely, you're right.
So, but your 40,000 buffer, 21 of that is including a waiver. So you're really only giving me 19,000 for a change of life. Or if an employee resigns and comes in with a family. And then there's the unknown. I totally understand you accounting for the employee contributions. But I would ask you not to not disrespectfully, but over exaggerate how much we don't need, if that even makes sense. But
I guess my question is, if we look at the heading there, it's July 1st to June 30th. July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. So what has happened January 1st to June 30th.
So that's our current plan.
I
And
know.
then,
And-
so that's the numbers that you see represent. The 218.
Mrs. DeCarlo, I need you to move up a little bit.
Oh, I apologize.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
So the two,
Not on this, this form.
This one, here you go, Mike,
so
you want the sheet?
218 a quarter?
Yes, that was the first quarter, expecting same for 2/4, for quarters 2/4. Yeah. So even if you make it 220, it's 880 total for the year, and then you're gonna reduce it by the 81,000, the contributions, for another 320 out of that.
There's just a ton of variables I can't answer definitively on. So again, I say this respectfully, I ask this not to be the line that you try to penny pinch down. I think there's a lot of unknowns. And again, I don't mean that sarcastically. It's just, I know we need to tighten things up, but I don't recommend it being this line.
Yeah, and also I'd like to, I think I'm right, but I will stand corrected if need be. The 3 council members here who were on last year when we discussed this, it was agreed that we would fund this line at last year's amount, being a transition year. And we saw we could drop it to $1 million. And so I would ask that the 3 council members, weigh in on that and vote accordingly.
Well, last year, we dropped it to 880, you dropped it to $1,089,000, Mr. Mayor, and you only spent 883, and you also transferred another 54,000 out of this line for another item. So there's a lot of, I understand what you're saying. They made an agreement last year, but this is the new council.
No, but 3 out of the 5 were on the old council.
I'm not disagreeing with that number.
And again, I know a few times it's been said, well, we'll find money. If we don't put extra in this health benefits line, in my opinion, there's no money to be found. We presented a tight budget. You collectively had made it even tighter. And so if we need money, I don't see anywhere else to take it from come the end of the year when we have to do if we have to do transfers.
But even if you reduced it to, 825,000, you didn't spend that much last year.
I will not disagree with that. I'm only asking that if that's what the 3 council members who were on here last year said, that you honor your word.
I can't speak to that because I don't know what to
I
talk
wouldn't
about.
expect you to.
Mr. Ullman, I'd like to make a motion to drop this to 750,000.
If I just may make a
Hold on.
comment before you do that. As some may recall, I just, in generally speaking, I'm actually not debating the amounts, but I just haven't been in favor of the difference card to begin with. So,
I agree with you, Ms. Velez. I'm not in favor of the difference card either. Haven't gone through a form of it wasn't a difference card. They took us out of a program, put us into another program, and now we're back into the original program because the savings weren't there. I've gone through this. I don't know. I hope the difference card works because it's a big savings, 167,000.
I agree.
I'm hoping.
You all collectively have the authority. If you don't agree with it, fully fund it for that $1+ million, and we'll drop the difference card.
And nobody wants to do that because you found the savings.
Well, I'm hearing 2 of you say you're not in favor of it.
I just don't, I'm hoping the savings really come to fruition because
We all do.
I've seen a lot of municipalities try this and it didn't come to fruition. And I'm hoping that
Well,
we're one
I
of
mean,
the.
I
But again,
wouldn't
that's
say-
another reason to leave it funded.
Ms.
If
Vel,
we don't hit the target, at least we have some extra money in there.
Yes?
are you going to expand on either another option or why you're not in favor of it?
Well, from day one, when this was introduced, I do acknowledge that there is a large savings. However, in speaking, to some of the employees, they were rightfully so concerned. Some of them with healthcare issues. And there have been, since the first presentation till now, there have been some significant changes in the program. So I will say that I know the state came in and upped it. But generally speaking, I feel that the way the world is moving right now, healthcare is an absolute need without interference. So that is why I'm not in favor of changing our employees' healthcare plan. They know what they get. It's guaranteed. And I do hope that because of the savings that this does work out. And it was my opinion or my question, if there is a problem and it shows that it's not working favorably, could we go back? Could they go back? And the answer was yes,
That is correct.
based on what the state had available at the time. But to answer to wrap it up, I just don't want to change their health insurance. So I would be in favor of the mayor's opinion. I mean, I say let's drop the difference card and keep their health benefits as they
Well,
have.
just to be clear, that's not my opinion. It's an option you on the council have.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
yes.
But the previous council voted for.
Yes, because there's a savings.
You guys,
and we've seen
everybody,
the numbers.
the previous council and then this council had to formalize it.
Previous council voted to leave the funding at $1,089,000. So
No, but they entertained this difference card back in October or November of last year
Yeah.
when it was presented to them, and it was all favorable to everybody then.
And as this council, because
Yes,
Mr. DeCarlo presented it,
Again, yeah.
and we had the representative also give us a presentation. So that the administration has gone far beyond trying to make this happen and bring us savings, absolutely. So I don't argue, and I do appreciate the effort that has been made to bring this savings.
I agree with the effort, and I hope the savings really comes to fruition.
Agreed.
I don't like playing with healthcare either because it's an important everybody's family. The better coverage we have, I mean, the state health benefits 10 is the Cadillac of plans, and that's why it's the most expensive out of all the plans. But it is a very strong plan, and it costs the most, and that's unfortunate because most employees deserve that plan because of underlying conditions or anything that need to have that kind of coverage. So, but with the employee contributions coming in at over $250,000 for this line item and putting money back into it, I'd like to make a motion to reduce it.
Sir, 750 wouldn't even,
800 then, because it's a 266,000 employee contribution. So I'll make a motion for 800,000.
can we,
I don't want to be negative, but when it runs out of money before the end of the year, we will play this part back.
That's
It's
fine.
part of
Mr.
a
Mayor.
meeting.
That's fine.
And,
Our recommendation is staying at $1 million.
That's fine.
I
My motion is for 800. If anybody wishes to support it, that's my motion.
I
So-
just have one last comment. This is a new venture, and I do believe that it should be funded at the amount that is being requested. My no vote is generally speaking, because of the difference card. But if you are going to move forward with the difference card, my opinion is that it should be funded at the full amount because we don't know what it's going to look like.
Okay, thank you.
Michael, if we have a known fixed expense at this point of 447, is that right?
What known expense we talking about?
The first half of the year. I can't,
It's 218
218,
times 4.
but because this is only going to go through, assuming we switch on July 1st, we would have 2 quarters of it.
Okay,
So 218 or 220
it's
times
440
is 440.
or 880.
Well, no, I want to go 440.
Okay, so 440, I'm writing that down.
We're assuming we're going to move to the difference card.
Okay, yeah,
So 440
yeah.
plus the 10 for the waiver.
Okay, so that's 450.
So that brings us to 450.
why are you only at 10? The
Okay.
number, it's not included in that 218.
So the 10 is for the first half of the year for the waiver.
Yeah, but what about the rest of the year?
No, he's just addressing the first.
We're just doing the first 6 months. Yeah.
My apologies, your
Getting
calculator
late.
is disturbing.
I was trying to do it very slowly.
Y'all need to
You know
sit
what?
forward, please. You're getting comfortable, you gotta
Continue,
move
Mike.
forward.
Mike, continue. So you're at 450, 440 and 10.
How's it go?
So for the second half, it's another 10
Yep.
for the waiver.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to, based on the numbers we saw on that schedule,
Mhm.
I would like to figure out what is the known expense for the second 6 months.
Well, I'm saying if you take the 460 and the 460, just stay with the same plan, like Ms. Velez wanted, like, let's just call it stay in state health benefits, no, so that's
There's a
460
huge
times 2.
increase though, so.
No, that's 460 times 2, right? 460,000 times 2, which brings you to,
1 million,
no, 920.
oh, 920.
$920,000, correct? You have an employee contribution of, let's call it $266,000. So you deduct that from that.
Can you just tell me how, so I can follow along very slowly? How did you get to the 260?
81 times 4.
I
That's
reduced the 80, it's
260.
320, it's even more. So I'm not trying to deduct as much as the employee
Right,
contribution.
because you got to remember, the contributions will be less, so that 81 you can't count on.
That's why I made it 260, 266.
Okay, got it.
I'm reducing it because I
All right,
know
just
it
was
changed.
wondering How
Yeah.
you got the
Yeah.
266?
Well, that was the original number you had given us, is the 266 employee.
When did I say that?
That's what we have in the book. I have it in my book. We said at one point in time, I don't know who said that, but it's more. It's 81 times 4. So it's 320, 4 or whatever it is. So I'm saying take the 920 and you deduct the 260 from it, right? Which brings you even lower than that. Wow, it brings you way down. So I'm saying make it 800,000. Or funded for the 850, which is approximately a little bit higher than what was spent last year for the state health benefits plan.
I mean, call me a friggin' idiot.
Now we're getting tired.
What?
Can you even say?
I just did.
The employees are gonna kick back $260,000 to that, the total payout.
Yeah, but, so at that point, why aren't we just keeping the,
The old plan?
yeah,
I don't know why, I can't
I
answer.
mean, correct me if I'm wrong, we're saying in Q1, Jan 1 to March 31,
Yep,
overall health was
286.
gross 286.
Yep,
Contributions were 81, brought us to 218.
yep,
218 times 4,
is less than what we have budgeted. Is
is
88.
872. I mean, what am I missing here? Is there an escalation in the first quarter?
Are you saying?
Council
why-
President
how we get to
Pacetta?
a million?
Yes, Mr. Corcoran.
Just keep in mind, that 81,000 actually represents 7 pays of employee
Okay.
contribution, because the first one is actually from the last pay of last year. So the first quarter.
But it's still the first quarter. It's still the first quarter.
Yes, right. But so the 81 is a little bit ballooned because of that fact.
But the 286 is based on a
Actual
premium of the, what is it, 10, health 10, whatever?
Yes, direct,
Yes.
and direct.
Direct
New
10?
Jersey Direct 10.
And is that the new rate? Is that the current rate?
That's the current rate. That's the
That's the current
2024 rate.
I mean, are we, I feel like we're moving shells here.
We are.
So when you say call you an idiot, why?
Well, because,
Can you speak into the microphone?
I don't know if
Sorry.
that should have been recorded anyway.
because we're talking about savings and, there's numbers in these run rates of over $1 million, okay? If we have a known cost of 286 for the first quarter. And I know these numbers need to be tweaked. I understand that, Mr. Corcoran. But if we say it starts at 290 and we take out 80, 210 a quarter times 4 is 840,000.
Correct.
So if we stayed where we are, we're looking at net premiums of 840,000.
Which is a little bit less than last year's total payout of 883, which included a $53,000 transfer.
So
So it wasn't a big difference in savings.
So my only question is, when I look at that schedule, I mean, where's the savings?
By going to the difference card? Well, you're not, that 916 isn't, I don't think I don't want to say I don't think, but it's not representing the employee contribution part of it. So the savings is already 1,076,000 down to 1 million. I remember when our last discussion, I think I even started with, you guys are probably going to be right. There's going to be leftover money there. We just feel comfortable with that leftover money because we have unknowns. I can't give you the historical data, right? We can't go to the audit trail and say, this is what it cost last year because it's a new program.
But Mr. DiCarlo, if we were to abandon the health card right now and say, do not go down that route, stop right now. The council, I'm making a general statement. I know everybody's not making, but I think what we're saying is, if you say, stay with Direct 10 for 2024, we're talking about a difference. So last year we spent 800 in this line. We spent 883,000. Right, my eyes are playing games with me. Right, with a $54,000 transfer out of this line. So we spent a total of 830,000. Let's call it. Right. If we stayed with Direct 10 in 2024 at the current premiums that Mr. Corcoran has given us here, it's only going to cost us $840,000, which is a negligible difference from our 2023 premiums to 2024.
It can't be because the projections are $76,000 more.
What's that?
Is $76,000 more are the projection on that slide that we didn't ask for.
Yeah, but when we take the true numbers that Mr. Corcoran has given us, or you've given us in the sheet, right? You say it's 286, 655.90 minus employee contributions of 81,108.76, right? Puts us at a net expense with the waivers at let's call it 220. So if you just take 220 and you multiply it by 4, that's 880. Last year we spent a total of 835,000. So you're talking about a delta of, $45,000 to stay in Direct 10.
But do those numbers include the increase that the state has?
That's this year's premium. That's what this number that we have in the sheet is this year's, it's the first quarter bill.
That's what
I'm assuming.
Yeah. Mr. Corcoran, is that a fair statement that on this sheet or on the slide, the 286 is your actual bill from state health benefits, right? The 286, 655.90?
Right, the 286 is the first quarter expenses, and like I mentioned, the 81 is for 7 pay, so really more accurate, it's probably closer to like maybe 68 or 69. So like an approximation, if you took the 286 and subtracted around 68,000 maybe, that would probably be your net. I mean, I'm estimating, but I mean basically.
But it still puts you at 220.
So you're saying that we could stay with Direct 10 and Direct 15 and still lower the line to less than $1 million?
Yeah.
All right. Are you willing to table it so I can work on this until Wednesday to give you
Sure.
that way?
Yeah, but you understand where we're going with this, Mr. DeCarlo, right? We're not trying.
Yeah, well,
we're not trying to force your hand, but the numbers, if these numbers are correct, that's presented to us, the whole plan for fiscal 2024 is only worth 880, and then and when you take out the employee contributions coming back, that's all it's worth.
Well, you'd still save an additional 160,000 on top of that difference because
no, there's no. The whole plan If you stayed in direct 10 right now, and you multiply the numbers that are given us on the sheet, right? You take the 286 minus, even if you change it to Mr. Corcoran's new number of 70,000, right? That lowers you to 216 per quarter. You make it 220. That means for fiscal 2024, it's an $880,000 liability for direct 10.
Let me, my brain's fried at this point.
But you understand where we're going.
Yeah, just let me talk with
Okay.
our health benefits coordinator.
I think that's where we'll stop we'll stop on this at the end of page 25 for tonight.
Well, you just have a couple more people to talk.
Oh, we have
about
to, yes, we do have to go into close. Motion to go into closed session to do the 3 employees.
So move.
Second,
Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. Let me just get to where I have to be. I'm sorry. Who motioned?
Mr. Sears and Mr. Cassio. So resolution number 24-213, personnel various departments, motion to enter into close by Mr. Sears, seconded by Mr. Cassio. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ricky will be down to put us into closed. All right. We are not coming back from closed.